Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the listeners of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. Today is episode 54. We're going to be going into some of the fluffiest, comfiest, and most wholesome series of all time in anime. Specifically anime. We might touch some manga, but this ain't my shit. This ain't my wheelhouse. This is something that I, myself, William of the GAP, will not be focusing on because we have the master, the grandmaster, the senpai, the OG son of all fluffiness, Mr. Jason, the fluffy senpai. How are you doing, my buddy?
That is such a long introduction that I don't know if I can live up to that kind of expectation, Will. So in other words, this is stereotypical Asian introduction is what you're saying, right?
I'm not going to be disappointed in you if you can't carry this weight, but what I will say is that we are going to be going over a lot of really wholesome shit, but not in the first half because, as always, we're going to be talking about some news, but not just news this time because we actually watched something and we're willing and ready to discuss it before we go into the news section. I know, bewildering, right?
Here is my trap card.
Yeah,
I activated trap card.
There ain't no trap cards here. We're not playing no card games here because we actually did go out and watch something, and that something is probably one of the hottest anime films that have dropped this year, the past 2 years actually. Suzume. So how do we go about this?
Okay,
how do we go about it? Because it's like, do we need to go into any stats? Do we need to go into any background information? Well, it's Makoto Shinkai, same Comics Wave Productions again.
Sure. How about while you think about that, I will start dropping the wiki copy paste info.
That's what I'm saying. Do we need to? Because it's like people already know it's incredibly popular. What, it's like an 8.63 right now on my anime list, or is it 8.66?
8.63, I think, was last I checked. Okay, so Makoto Shinkai, Will mentioned, is a very well-known director. If you don't know, probably you've heard of his most recent two movies, Your Name in 2016 and Weathering with You in 2019. Of course, Makoto Shinkai has done a lot of other works.
Yeah, like 5 centimeters per second.
The Garden of Words. I first heard of him from Voices of a Distant Star, which I still have on DVD hidden in my room somewhere. He's also kind of hailed in many ways as the next Miyazaki. Or
do you even think? Could we just say he is just Shinkai? I don't think he's necessarily like trying to be the next Miyazaki. Rather, he's kind of creating like a space in which he and himself like can exist.
Yeah,
and it's hard to draw like parallels between the two. Okay, fine. There's always going to be like elements in which you see like, oh, that's totally a Ghibli thing, or like Miyazaki would have directed it that way. It's like, yeah, but it's like, is imitation necessarily a bad thing in this case, or is it even imitation?
Yeah, I don't think Shinkai is really doing Ghibli's thing, but I think there is a lot of parallels because he's kind of jack of all trades. He writes, creates, and directs his own stuff. Don't need to really go into how extensive he is.
The guy just wants to perfect his craft and wants to create something that's in the vision of his storytelling, his world building, his character expositions, and yeah, I mean, before we even like talk about like what we like about the movie, let's just get out there, right?
Right. So
it's pretty much the same sort of shtick as Your Name and Weathering with You. Two main characters, a male and female, foils for each other. They essentially cross paths, and shenanigans ensues.
Right, and this is hot off the heels because it premiered in Hong Kong March 2nd. Will and I watched it in IMAX. That was pretty dope. It premiered in Japan last year, November 11th, 2022, and is now currently the 10th highest grossing Japanese film of all time in Japan, and currently the second highest, 22nd highest grossing Japanese film worldwide of all time. So, the fuck? It's doing gangbusters.
Yeah. So, why is it doing gangbusters? Well, we had to go and watch it to see for ourselves what the whole appeal of Suzume was. 'Cause it's just like I watched Your Name, and while I liked it, I wouldn't have put it as like one of the greatest anime films of all time. It's certainly like one of the most popular of all time, but watching it, I don't know, it just felt kind of expected on how the story would play out. I understand in terms of like the parallels between like Shinkai and Miyazaki. It's kind of like you're looking at the whole plot of Your Name, and it doesn't seem to be so like earth-shatteringly original. I haven't watched Weathering with You, but you have, right?
Yeah.
And you were less hot on that compared to Your Name.
Yes, and also heads up, Will, and dear listeners of the Good Anime Podcast, Netflix has announced that Weathering with You will be off of the Netflix catalog at the end of the month, March 31st.
So you got less than 2 weeks.
Yep. But how I feel about Your Name and Weathering with You is essentially, I think the storyline of both Weathering with You and Your Name is very typical. But I think the production around it is phenomenal. Radwimps, who is basically Makoto Shinkai's go-to band / composer, is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't really question. The music is always good with a Shinkai film.
And the dude being Makoto Shinkai, is insane in terms of how dedicated and how obsessive he is. I think Weathering with You, there's a scene that involves like some sort of cloud formation or some weather formation, and it looks like kind of fantastical until you realize that, oh no, the dude actually went to like some meteorologist and discovered this phenomenon and decided to draw it painstakingly, and you're just like, dude, this guy's crazy, but I fucking love it. That's dope.
Yeah. So let's draw the focus back to Suzume, and
yeah, let's try to avoid spoilers.
That anime opening, that whole opening sequence is probably one of the greatest things I'd seen in a while. Holy fuck, it was so hype. It was so good.
So we won't really talk spoilery in terms of plot details.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, typically speaking, with definitely with Your Name, I'm not quite remembering if Weathering with You did the same thing, but a rock, basically a semi-rock music, anime music video plays within like the first couple of minutes. That's essentially how the first film with Your Name plays out. But with Suzume, though, it is very subtle, and basically the title card shows up late. I don't think that's necessarily a spoiler,
but it gives you like enough time to like try and figure out what the hell's going on. The music was just phenomenal,
and I think the direction, like Shinkai's direction with the whole film, but particularly with like the cold open, I guess is what you would call it, is done so well, such that the moment that title card shows up, you're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? Also, another thing that I think, without a doubt, Shinkai did fantastic job, Comics Wave did a fantastic job, is the production around it. It is fucking gorgeous. It is also, Radwimps did a phenomenal job. I think this time around, Radwimps collaborated with another music composer. I forgot his name, and I'm sorry. I'll see if I can check up on that real quick.
Oh, it's Kazuma Jinouchi, the person who did Ghost in the Shell 2045 and Ruby. That's the composer.
So you redeemed yourself, I guess.
Well, come on, no. I mean, like,
from 2045.
Wait. He did the music composition. What the hell did he have to do with the 3D?
True, actually.
You're just throwing blame at the wrong person, dude. You're egging the wrong person's house.
Chill.
What do you mean? You're the one who's throwing eggs at person's houses without even like any information, any evidence of him having any downfall whatsoever.
Well, I don't know why you're so mad.
You're the one throwing accusations. Of course, I'm going to be defending Kunoichi-san.
Okay, bickering aside between us, I'm sorry. But the music is really good for Suzume. The plot, as Will probably have mentioned with Your Name, and I have with Your Name and Weathering with You, is extremely simple. A foil doesn't really have too much in terms of, I guess, depth in terms of the plot itself. But what I will say, though, is, Will, in your opinion, because you only have Your Name to go off of. I would say that Suzume is a film that is not so typical, and it's more subtle, I think, in terms of the way that it conveys what the message is trying to say. The audience has to kind of piece things together ever so slightly in terms of getting extra context, whereas with Your Name and in Weathering with You, the plot beat is very simple, very stereotypical. Nothing wrong with that, but it is more in your face than Suzume.
Well, the plot is pretty much laid bare in terms of, what Your Name is trying to achieve, right? Whereas with Suzume, yeah, there's subtleties, but the more you watch it, the more it unfolds. I mean, when I was watching it, I knew exactly what was happening.
And I didn't.
I had to explain it to you at the end.
Yeah, I know. And then I was like, oh my God, how come I not fucking see that? But anyways, I think the other thing with Suzume is the whole, majority of the plot is, let's say it's a journey, right?
Yeah, for sure. It plays out quite nicely from part to part. Is it my favorite anime movie? Hell no. It's far from it.
I don't think so either.
But it's a solid 8. It's a very solid 8. I think that a lot of times whenever you watch anime that focuses on specific Japanese elements, especially if it's cultural, social, historical, there needs to be a level of context in which outside viewers can at least experience and understand,
right, or associate with, right?
And this one is not too far off. You would be able to watch it, and yeah, you might not have had much experience with it. This even goes into younger generations of Japanese people who end up watching Suzume. This might not be something that fully resonates or is associative to you, but it's also not hard for you to understand and possibly relate to it. I think that overall, especially for all listeners that are based in the US and parts of Europe, you guys should be getting a mid-April release for Suzume. Asia is pretty much covered now. So yeah, I think from a month on, we may see a bigger shift in terms of how it performs on a global scale.
Now, offhand, I have some friends who has also watched Suzume, and they, I think almost all of them consider Suzume as the weakest of the three modern Shinkai films. Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume.
The big budget blockbuster, the ones that have reached top 10, top 20, top 25 lists. So yeah, Your Name, Weathering with You, Suzume.
I think, though, I would say Suzume, in some respects, is number one, or shares the spot with Your Name, and I think Weathering with You overall is the weakest of the three. However, I thought that the music is from Your Name was last place, Weathering with You was even better, and I think Suzume's music is the best of the three.
Yeah, I think that, again, I'm only going off of my experience of watching Your Name. I would put Suzume above that. I have no say whatsoever in Weathering with You until I watch it. But then again, it's also not really important whether I rank Suzume at the top or Weathering with You at the top or whatnot. The point of this is that Suzume is absolutely worth your time and money to go and watch this. Or if you just feel like you're gonna wait until it comes on streaming, absolutely no problem with that too. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to you to go watch it unless it's in IMAX. Because, wow, that was an experience.
That was really pretty. It was a really pretty movie.
I remember when I was picking out seats as well, and we were like, do we want to be a bit too much to the left or too much to the right? And then we got into the theater. It's it actually doesn't matter. The screen is so fucking big.
Yeah, I know. And thank God we didn't sit closer to the screen.
That's the thing. I think there was very clear that by the midsection of the theater, there were empty seats all the way at the front. And again, I think it's just, COVID restrictions have just only been down the last couple of weeks. People are only starting to go back out and do stuff. And so we haven't gone back to the days yet where cinemas, theaters and all that are completely full house. But this was, don't let that deter you. And then also the fact that even if when we were in the cinema and it wasn't a full house, we were also watching it a week after it had released. And at that point already, it's already like top 22 on a global scale. So I think I don't think it matters too much. Like once it drops in the U.S. and in Europe, wherever you are, and you can get it in IMAX, definitely watch it. If it's just regular old cinema screen, it's up to you.
Yeah, it's a really good time overall, for sure. And I implore everyone who wants to check it out to check it out in theaters on the largest screen possible. Of course, if you want, to wait for streaming, no problem. But
yeah, you might have a bigger screen at home.
It was eye candy for sure. So it will be basically another 3 years because Shinkai, just like Hosoda, releases a movie every 3 years. So we have to wait till 2025 in Japan and 2026 in rest of the world, really.
Yeah, whatever story he just has to come up with next time, I'm sure he's going to try and up the ante and go with something even crazier, but still pertain to Japanese lore. So solid 8 for me. Agreement with you?
Yeah, I would say 8.5, but 8 to an 8.5 essentially.
Because essentially it's like visually, orally, AURAL. That's oral. That's oral bliss.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah,
I'm nodding my head in approval.
It's the look on your face, Jason.
Why are you out for me today, man? What did I do, man?
You know what you're doing, Jason.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess what I know, at the very least, is that we are done with our reading and watching section, and we will now proceed onwards to our news section.
So let's kick it off with a very simple glance over the recent Crunchyroll Anime Awards that released on stream 2 weeks ago on March 4th from Tokyo. So this is different from the previous awards where they had always done it in the U.S. This time around, they got industry experts and professionals and also a couple of interesting guests to present awards straight from Tokyo. So we don't want to go too deep into it. All the results have already been posted online. You can look into it yourself. All I will say is simply it was a shit show. I did not enjoy some of the picks that they had.
I guess we won't be invited to the Crunchyroll Anime Awards ever.
A lot of the anime-tubers that I know of are probably not going to be going back there anyway either. And I think it's just some of the awards they gave out and the winners that got them, I thought the choices were incredibly egregious. Because some, you expect they were going to win it, but then there were certain categories where you're just like, how in the fuck did this one win and not the other one?
Or how did it even become nominees in this category?
Yeah.
So
I think the main thing that we should say, though, is probably the biggest shock, but probably the most pleasant of all shocks, is the winner of the best anime.
Oh, so Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer shared the award, right? Well, it was great, right?
So they basically swept the awards for every other category, but when it came to the de facto best anime
of the year goes to, according to Will's,
Cyberpunk Edge Runner. That was the #1 anime released in the last calendar year.
And is considered by the Crunchyroll Awards to be the anime of the year, which I have to be honest, I vouched for that choice. I did not at all expect it to win whatsoever. I was ready to bet money like hand and fist, like, oh, it's never gonna be Cyberpunk Edge Runner. They put it there kind of as like a acknowledgement, but kind of never gonna win anything. Let's just put it to the side. And then, boom, it won.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack just from this particular awards. But there were also, like, previous Crunchyroll Anime Awards winners that I didn't really sit too well with. I think this time, I don't know how the voting process was for the previous ones, but for this one, it was open up to fans.
Yeah.
So there were, like, well over, like, several 100,000, maybe 1 million voters coming in.
Whereas before, they had, like, jurors that were kind of just like an amalgamation of anti-tubers or critics from various publications and
industry
establishments.
Experts and whatnot. So I guess this time they wanted to have a more sort of like
democratic say. I don't know.
Which is kind of interesting because based on that, you would have expected like Attack on Titan or Demon Slayer to win outright best anime, but Cyberpunk Edge Runners took the cake. But there were also other awards that, yeah, you're like, this is totally like fan slash like critic driven. Who knows? Like there's a lot to like digest just from this particular anime awards.
I think Will and I are probably going to have bits and pieces on it, and probably going to release it sometime soon if we're going to record it, and make sure that we go over and maybe go even into a little bit of a discussion on just award shows or anime award shows in general.
Yeah. Or even some manga awards too.
Sure.
I think that like of course that is going to make it like a lot harder for us to collate all the data that we need, but I think like we want to try and do it justice. We want to try and sort of break down like the award process, the voting process, and I guess as well like what it means for these anime and manga to end up like winning something, and what the subsequent like results of the winning actually like benefits them. So let's hold off on bashing this. Well, maybe not. I'm bashing at least.
I'm bashing too. Can I just say one last thing before we move on to our next story, which is, I think of all the categories that the Crunchyroll Anime Awards have, probably by far the most egregious category in my memory has always been Best Fantasy Anime Series. I think traditionally a while ago,
that's
Slime
the one
Isekai?
that had the biggest. I had the biggest gripe on. With
Didn't
this
Slime
award.
Isekai won that 1 year over like ranking of Kings and Jobless?
Which, to be fair, okay, fine. Slime was good, but like I would have picked Jobless.
I would have picked Jobless.
Yeah, but it didn't win. So
And not a shocker, this time around, the category.
oh, right, we were gonna say it right for best
Oh,
fantasy.
no. Well, the listeners are gonna have to either Google it or listen in to find out. But let's just say it was, I would say, in some ways, even more egregious.
Yeah, like as much of a shock Cyberpunk Edge Runners like was for like best anime, it was a very pleasant choice. Whereas the winner for the best fantasy award was like, bruh, like at any moment. I mean, we were watching it on stream, and the people that were like posting on Twitch and posting on YouTube, they're dude, like pitchforks were raised.
Yep.
Of course, there's going to be like a lot of people that would have vouched for that pick anyway. But I think
It's
overall,
just so boring.
I mean that one basically stole the show, like, and in a bad way.
All right. Just like how Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer swept the awards for the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, Demon Slayer continues to sweep the floor because there's tons of cash laid all on the ground for everyone to put into bags, because Demon Slayer, Swordsmith, Village Arc Anime, which is the movie, I think is like the first like.
What they do is they include like the last couple episodes of the previous season, which is the Entertainment District arc, and then like I think the first or maybe even like a bit more.
It's like a 1 hour premiere, I think.
Yeah. So they include like a bit of the upcoming arc.
But this movie crosses 10.1 million US dollars in the opening weekend in the US. So, look, there's nothing else to mention other than what I just said.
Well, there is actually some other things to mention, which is the fact that this is a completed manga series. So this is probably the best way for anyone to make money off of a completed product.
True.
So, I mean, look, manga sales are one thing, but I think like manga sales now have kind of dropped for Demon Slayer simply because of the fact that like you can't keep on having record-breaking numbers. Otherwise, you're just going to have every person on Earth who has a copy of Demon Slayer. This is probably the only way that people can go around and make money off of a product, which I think is completely fine. Because if you think about it, too, a lot of the stuff that they have for that premiere, at least that's what has been like reported on, has already been completed from the previous season. And they're also using stuff that's been completed for the upcoming season. So it's not like there's additional work to be done. The only thing, I guess, would be like licensing and distribution.
And to anticipation to be on that hype train before the anime technically premieres for everyone. So
yeah, Demon Slayer basically broke anime. Because now this is basically one way to not only continue having your product relevant and hyped, but also to
Double
basically
dip.
look into additional ways of generating revenue. So there was probably going to be more. I mean, shit, like fucking Eurocamp came out with a movie, and then now they're going to be releasing season 3 in the upcoming season. Oh no, the season after, I think. No, are they coming out 2023 or 2024 for Eurocamp 3?
I think they just announced it. I'm not sure if they announced a date.
But it will be this year, right? 2023.
I said I don't know if they announced a date. I actually don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember, yes, they announced the season 3. We watched the movie. We kind of liked it.
Because I just remember seeing it as an entry on my anime list, but I don't remember if it was for 2023 or 2024. But yeah, point aside. There's going to be other manga properties. There's going to be other IPs that'll be looking at this and be like, look, if Demon Slayer is doing this and they're generating a fuck ton of money, I guess we're going to have to do it at some point as well. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be doing this particular model of running a manga, having like an anime series, roll out 12 to maybe 24 episodes, and then have another movie come out. I mean, shit, Jujutsu Kaisen did it, right? They had a movie coming in between season 1 and season 2. So this will probably be something that you'll see from other big shonen series or just, super popular series. And I don't know. On one hand, I am completely fine with it because of the fact that it's a completed product. They're going to need to find other ways to generate money. But what I also don't want this to do is to essentially set a trend for other series to follow, in which if you want to watch like completely canon content, you have to watch them all, which includes the movies in between anime series, just like how they did it with the Mugen Train arc.
But with Demon Slayer, it is different because the Mugen Train also they double dipped as a TV series, right?
Well, but they still made money off it for like a whole year before.
Oh yeah,
releasing
for
a TV.
sure.
So like that's the point is still there though. They still made money off of it.
Well, but like the Eurocamp movie, or like other in between movies, like I guess Jujutsu Kaisen Zero is like a prequel, but there has been like in between movies that just are canon but will never be released as like like a 6-episode like mini series. Demon Slayer I think is the only recent one that like double dips or in some ways triple dips.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many of the canon movies do you know of that are like? I mean, is that how it plays out with Sword Art Online?
No,
right? So you don't have to watch the movies to understand the whole canon story, at least the majority of it. Whereas with Demon Slayer at that time, if you wanted to know more about the Mugen Train arc, you had two options, which is to buy the manga or buy a ticket to watch the movie.
Right, but they re-released it as a TV series, though.
But you still made money off of it.
That's why I said they double and triple dipped.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying though, it's like they still made money off of it from the beginning. So it's like, yeah, they released it as a mini series afterwards, but it doesn't take away from the point where like that's something I don't want anime studios to continue going down, where it's like you basically profit off of your fans from generating at the time exclusive platforms for you to watch content, because at that point it just becomes a point where like you have to start like divesting your interests not just from one particular platform but to another platform or to like another medium, and it just that's what I'm saying, where like we've talked about how it can be very expensive being an anime fan, being a manga fan, and so like it just becomes very cumbersome when you have to look at upcoming releases and find out that, oh, in order for me to watch this, I either have to pay up now or I have to wait a whole year for the next bit of content to come out. And so, like, what's the best solution here? You know what I mean?
Okay. No, I see you. I see it. I don't know. You're asking, like,
I'm not asking you. I'm posing a point. Like, that's literally it. Like. Do you want to add anything to this, or do you want to just move on? I don't know what you want to do.
No, I think like you pretty much summed up kind of a lot of frustrations that a lot of anime only fans would kind of have to rely on, which is sometimes you just can't find the thing that you need to watch before the new season premieres on streaming sites. So how are you going to get it? You're not going to buy the Blu-ray. So what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
And again, I mean,
it's not fine.
I also need to reiterate too that like I'm not against anime studios wanting to profit off of their product. That's like they're for profit companies for a reason. They have to make money, right? So that's not a part I'm refuting. What I'm refuting is that like I don't want to see studios like taking advantage of this model at the whims of the fans that they're trying to get their money off of. Because at some point, it's just like, what happens if an anime studio decides to bank on a movie and the fans are like, yeah, you know what? Like, we don't want to do this. We're not gonna watch it, and then it ends up not being profitable. And then the studio's like, what the hell's going on? Like, why are we not making money off this? And then they either shelve the product or maybe like they start like putting less money into this product. I don't know. What I'm coming from is like an extreme perspective of keeping it simple, but that's not how a business runs. So it's that weird little sort of like gray area that I hope that like anime studios and production companies can at least like find like the right path or like the next best path.
So like a sweet spot, right? Yeah.
Which is always going to be hard, but try,
Yeah, and we'll see how that trend kind of pans out in the long run. But I think for now, hey, at least Demon Slayer is earning them cash.
Yeah.
Cash money.
Yeah. So rant over on my side. Moving on to the next bit of news. Frieren. So, as with all upcoming like seasons, there's always going to be news about voice casts, release dates. There's going to be like maybe like some studios will come out and say, "Oh, we're bringing on another like outsourced company to work on our shit." Blah 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 blah. But Frieren in this particular instance is important because it's not so much that it's the voice cast we want to talk about, but it's that they finally announced a release date. So we are now going to be able to know when to expect Frieren to hit on our streaming platforms or our TV screens.
It has announced to have a fall 2023 premiere date as well as a studio. And who else would you think would be appropriate to take on this crazy mammoth of hype train property for Frieren Beyond Journeys and, of course, Studio Madhouse?
Mad decision. Fucking crazy decision.
Psychos. But hey, I think they can probably pull it off. I actually think that the footage that they showed looks pretty good. And that's it.
It's good to see as well that Madhouse is attached to it because it's like we've had discussions before. Like we've done a whole ass episode on Madhouse where it's just like, has Madhouse died out? Have all the big properties that have been like making Madhouse's name been taken up by the likes of Mappa and so on?
Yeah, have all the staff left?
But no, Madhouse has now come out and basically said no, we're still around. We're still producing good stuff. And the hope is, at least for you, because you have read the manga for Frieren, right? So I'm assuming that you have like modest to like high expectations for the series.
Almost exceedingly high expectations. And Will soon have his take on it because Will and I are going to use it as one of our properties for ASAP 3.
Yep. So also, thanks to all the people that listened to ASAP 2. We really enjoyed that one, and we hope to continue pumping up more of these, because it also gives us an excuse to read more manga.
Yeah. Another manga that you should read, although maybe not right away,
well,
though.
This sentence actually is actually really important, because we do have a prophet amongst us, which was Jason, because there was a period when there was like releases of Domestic Girlfriend. There was also Girlfriend, and then was it Girlfriend first, or was it Rent a Girlfriend first?
It was Rent a Girlfriend first.
And then Girlfriend.
So, I think it's Domestic Girlfriend, Rent a Girlfriend, which is now on their third season soon. What the fuck? But okay. And then Girlfriend. And I said, way back when, hey, I think this property really, 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 really deserves an anime adaptation. And guess what it did?
You missed one, really.
There's 5.
You said 4. I think you said 4. I'll check in a bit later, but like... Sure. I could be wrong here.
But you can call me on, no problem. It should have been 5 because the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You,
there you go.
The manga, is getting an anime adaptation.
So there have been announcements of the main cast, the staff, and the visuals. So Wataru Kato will be playing as Rentaro Aijo. Kaeda Honda will be playing as Hakari Hanazono, and Miyu Tomita will be playing as Karane Inda. So, yeah, the director for Dropkick on My Devil, Hikaru Sato, will be taking over. I'm guessing that means that Bibri Animation Studio will be attached to the series. We did the breakdown of the best and worst performing studios of 2022, and Bibri didn't do so well last year. So the hope is that they'll be able to, really, 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 really do a good job this time around.
I hope so, because I think this manga is a lot of fun and potentially could be a very fun show.
I mean, like, I haven't read it, but like you've gushed over the plot before, where it's just like it's a harem, but it's not like a typical harem. It's like, well, what's so atypical about a harem in the beginning? Like, no, this is literally a person where like I think general plot is this kid, this main character is about to die, but in order for him to stay alive, he has to obtain 100 girlfriends.
No. So what happened was Rentaro has not had luck with romance forever. Then all of a sudden, one day he decided to pray at a temple, and the god is like, yo, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you your soulmate because that's what you wanted. And then he goes, okay. It's kind of weird. Then magically, his first soulmate shows up. Then another soulmate shows up. Rentaro goes back to the god and be like, the fuck you do, guy? Isn't there's only one soulmate? And the god is like, I kind of added 2 zeros. Kind of clerical error. My bad. Oh, and by the way, they're soulmates, right? So if you don't get with them, they're going to die.
Oh, they die, not Rentaro.
Yes. Okay. So Rentaro's like, well, how can I date 100 soulmates? And he's like, shit, my bad.
I don't know.
I guess all 99 of them are going to die. And then he goes, well, 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. I'm going to date all of them. And that's what he proceeds to do. I think they're on like girlfriend number like 30-something right now. I don't know.
There's a whole lot of manga to come out. But, if you don't want to read the manga, the anime should be coming out soon.
I just don't know how they're going to do some of the chapters because they do a Food War parody. They do a Your Name parody. They do a Biohazard Resident Evil parody. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's a really fun manga, and hopefully the anime will be just as fun.
Yeah. Well, speaking of manga, a manga series that both Jason and I really, really, really like, not trying to go off of 5. We're just going to keep 3 this time. Erased is probably one of our most favorite anime/manga series. We've talked about it plenty of times.
Also, our favorite anime mom.
Mom is S tier, like the class of her own. But the mangaka has come out and now launched a new manga called 13th
Footprint.
Jusankai Me no Ashiato, which is the 13th Footprint, which will be published on Kadokawa's Comic New Type. It's a web manga site, and it came out just this past weekend. Just this weekend, actually, on the 17th. So it is going to be set in Chiba Prefecture in 2018 and centers on an elementary school school teacher, Toya Togawa, who discovers a postcard that seems to portend a terrible event occurring on the following day. So, again, another one of those, I guess, like time travel kind of mystery suspense series.
Almost like what the mangaka for Erased is known for. So, the manga...
it looks like the original main character from Erased, like, all grown up. That's what the teacher looks like. Who knows? I think that like if something that worked the first time, it surely should work the second time.
Yeah, and I think since it is on Square Enix's publication, it should be on Manga Up, I think, is the one that Square Enix owns. So.
Oh, that one's a new series. That one is Otogi no Hako no Reto. He's launching a new manga. So that's 2 separate manga series.
Oh shit, my bad. Oh yeah, this is just a web manga.
Yeah. He's keeping busy.
Yeah, he seems to be putting out a lot of work. So that's
Sanbe,
good.
We're rooting for you.
Now, let's talk about Ukraine.
Oh man, okay. You had to open it like that.
Well,
you could have just said, "Let's open up with Hunter x Hunter."
No, let's talk about Ukraine. Well,
terrible times. We're hoping that everybody in Ukraine and also across Europe are doing well and are able to move past this massive global tragedy.
Now, world events aside, this is a blend of random anime news kind of thing tied together with the Ukraine tragedy, which is, for some reason, Hunter x Hunter, or a lot of people say Hunter x Hunter, has inspired some gangs to stir trouble in Ukraine cities. And I don't know how to interpret this news story, Will, other than to say, hey, you know that spider gang that is really well known in Hunter x Hunter? Well, there are these... I don't want to really go into like the politics of all of that or give you my political commentary because I don't think this is not the venue or the time or place for it. But I guess some people decided to, take up arms and dress up as these gangs that is inspired by this Hunter x Hunter group. I don't know how else to really go about saying this news story besides what I just said.
Yeah. Weird anime news. By the way, as an aside, so you pronounce it as Hunter x Hunter, and I'm assuming that you would also then pronounce it as Spy X Family, right?
Always.
Officially, they're both Hunter x Hunter and Spy Family. However, while I do say Hunter x Hunter, I say Spy X Family. I don't know why.
So you're an in-betweener.
An in-betweener. I guess it's just, whichever works best. I think like Hunter x Hunter sounds weird, but Spy X Family sounds perfect. That's just how I go about it.
Well, I understand it's like, it's the crossover, right? And usually when you have like, fashion crossovers, you don't say the X, the crossover part. I just, for some reason, for Hunter x Hunter and for Spy X Family, I always just say the X.
I think for me, it's just Spy X Family just kind of rolls off the tongue. Hunter x Hunter is a little bit stuttery, in my opinion.
All right. There is actually one more news story, but Will, do you really want to go into it? Because it actually might be pretty extensive, right?
I'd say that at a glance, there has been a YouTube video that was published by Toshio. He was previously
Toshio Okada.
Yeah, so he was previously a Gainax president, and he essentially released on his own channel a English subtitle clip about what's been going on in the anime production sphere. It's quite heavy in terms of going over in this particular news section for the GAP. The video itself though is completely public on YouTube, free to watch.
It's like
with
19
subtitles.
minutes. You said
the clip that's in the news article on Anime News Network is 19 minutes, but 15 minutes of it is actually of Toshio Okada talking about the situation and I guess his criticisms of what have been going on in the anime production sphere.
So a long time ago, earlier on, I think season 1 of the Good Anime Pal podcast, Will and I did an episode on kind of the intricacies of anime production and how it's made. Obviously, Will and I are not in the anime and manga industry, and we only did it through research.
And we also mainly talked about the production process itself, so which was like getting animators, voice actors, doing pre-production, production, post-production, and doing all, like, I guess at a glance, like licensing and distributions. But we never talked about the most important part in anime and manga, which is money.
Yes, production. And like being a producer or an executive producer. And I think for a lot of anime-only watchers who are not very familiar or in some ways maybe don't really pay too much mind or attention to them, you definitely might have seen it in a lot of openings because it's the last thing you usually see either before or after the director, which is, it is done by this executive committee, usually the name of the anime itself.
Yeah. So why do we want to talk about this? It's because the fact that there's a whole slew of shit within anime and manga production that Jason and I did not really know. I think like if you just sort of glance, like a lot of people speculate, especially with the Cider, Ranker, CBR, and all that, and not just within anime production, but also in general, like live action productions. People always try to guesstimate what the budget is per episode for producing something, and sometimes they're like on the money. we have no way of verifying it.
I get it. What you did there.
Yeah. Or it's like they're completely way off the mark. And so I think a lot of times people always think that it's like, anime budgets are like, there's some studios that get way more money and there's some studios that get way less money. And, on average, like, for example, like a Demon Slayer will be getting maybe like 3, 4, maybe 500K to produce per episode. And then something like Campfire Cooking would only get like 50 to 100K.
And you also have to take into consideration the fact that with the whole Japanese culture and anime and manga industries, usually behind a veil, right? So you usually won't be so forthcoming with certain details, or only unless if you're in the industry would you be able to know about these things.
Exactly. A lot of the news networks that sort of like cover these stories are American, or at least in general like Western news media agencies. So they're coming from that particular perspective, but Japan doesn't work like that. Japan is a very different entity when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to investing, when it comes to producing,
or even revealing a lot of information, or like, just being public, or maybe not. Maybe they are very public, but they do not like make it very well known. Like you can access it, but they don't really publicize that.
Yeah, like they give you a number, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a number. What does it mean, right? Like we told you what the budget is, but like all the other stuff, like that's private information. Or it's like we've given you what you need to know.
Yeah, or as a consumer, you don't need to know that. But one thing that I think I want to highlight about this video and kind of this whole issue is that it is in English subtitles. The video is in English subtitles, meaning to me, at least, that not only can I obviously understand it, but they're trying to cast a wide net such that it becomes something that is hopefully will incite some sort of change or some sort of discussion at the very minimum. And the intricacies of this in many ways is very dry, and it's kind of the nitty-gritty behind the scenes things. It's sort of like, do you want to know how the sausage is made? Well, guess what? This is how the sausage is made. And it may not be very readily interesting or relevant to a consumer of anime and manga, but it is definitely very important. And I think Will and I hopefully would have a venue to talk about such a thing. It just so happens that Will and I do. It's a podcast. And we will probably delve into this subject probably more hardcore, because I think Will is very passionate about it. I'm equally as passionate about it. And if we want to get this story straight, give you all of the details and the facts, we need to also be on the ball, right?
I've watched the whole video, and I generally understand like what Toshio Okada is talking about. Just because of my background in financial recruitment, I'm not like too like far off from understanding what the whole situation he's talking about. You haven't watched the full video yet, but once you do, you'll probably understand it as well. So we'll leave,
and you being me, Jason, right?
Yeah. We will leave this the whole crux of this discussion for a later topic, simply because it's not like. One, it's not necessarily like time sensitive. It is an issue that's existed for a long time, and it probably will continue existing for a long time. We will just want to dive deeper into it at a later date.
And there's a lot of it that you can really say.
Yeah, it's not just this video. There's a lot of other news articles that talk about the issues that come with budgeting and working with production studios, investors, and such.
And I mean, if you factor in like our news story about that tax code, if you factor in the news story about just Kickstarters kind of becoming more of a thing nowadays, where money is involved or exchanged hands for a certain property or anime or manga, we think that this is a subject that is very worth talking about.
Yeah.
We will leave the news story in the show notes, but I think Will and I will go hardcore into the subject itself at a later date.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, it could be an incredibly dry and boring topic for you, but you have to understand as well that this is also a very important facet of anime that, actually could end up being a bad thing for your enjoyment of anime and manga.
What is also a bad thing, now going off of our news segment, is now, before the break, potentially me losing my seasonal bet streak. Here is another opportunity, because now Will and I are going over our picks live for our, well, not live while we record, our spring 2023 seasonal bets. We didn't do one for winter. Sorry about that.
I think winter just crept up on us like real fast, and we just didn't have anything concrete, so we just left it at that. This time around, though, we're gonna make amends. We are going to bring back the seasonal bet, and I will finally have another opportunity to unseat Jason from his throne. I don't know. Your streak is like what, like 4-0 right now?
Yes.
Won. Yeah, you've won a full year of bets, and I have not. Well, I wasn't that far off for the previous one, but I was still utterly defeated.
So similarly with last time we had a seasonal bet, we will now do the average My Anime List score of this time 10 shows. So instead of the number of 8 pluses, we thought that having a wide variety of different scores and different shows would kind of make things a little bit more spicy and exciting.
Yeah.
We have some stipulations.
So to get off in terms of how we're going to structure this draft, there are currently 4 shows that have 100,000 members and up on My Anime List. So Jason and I will split those evenly 2 and 2. But we're going to be doing a snake draft, which means that person A will pick first, and then person B will pick the next 2, and then next 2, and so on, so on, so on, so on. After that, after the top 100,000 member entries on my list are picked, then we will be picking between 10,000 to 100,000. Now, there's nothing to stop either of us from picking something that has less than 10,000. It's just that the series that are listed in that particular section, we don't really know much about, so it's really up to our own discretion of whether we want to include it in our draft.
So we have a total of 10 shows. We're obviously using MAL, known as My Anime List. You can follow us along. The reason why we only use scores is because currently the scores are not given or not solidified enough that they have an average. So
yeah, nothing's been publicly listed yet. There have been some series that have been released, quote unquote, but those were early releases or theatrical releases, and therefore it's like whatever score they have, if it's publicly listed now, should not be consequential to our overall result for the bet.
We also only use new shows, so no ONA, no movies, no OVAs, no Netflix,
no continuing.
We are doing, no double curve, but if they are sequels, though, they are still open. They're fair game as long as they premiere this upcoming spring 2023. Now, Will, you have the choice of picking first or picking second.
I think I went first last time, so this time round
you can decide.
Yeah, you can take the first pick. So you will draft the number 1 pick, and then I'll go 2. Then you go 2, then 2 until we both have 10 total shows.
And we don't have to pick. We can pick any of the 10, right?
Yeah.
Other than with that stipulation.
Basically, your first pick doesn't have to be a series that has 100,000 members and up. You could pick something else first.
So do I pick 1 or 2 right now?
You pick 1. One that you think you can lock in immediately, and it'll be like the safe bet.
Ancient Magus' Bride Season 2.
You knew you were going to take that one. Okay, then that means that for the next 2, I will be taking Demon Slayer and Hell's Paradise.
All right. Okay.
Which then inevitably means that Dr. Stone and Tony Kakuya are yours, but you don't have so you could save those. You don't have to pick those now.
Oh, damn straight I will save those. Do I still pick 2 or 1 now?
You pick 2 now.
Okay, I will pick Insomniacs After School, and I will pick Oshinoko.
Okay. For my next 2, I will pick Mashal.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, I'll pick Mashal. I thought Yamada-kun was... No, actually, no. Skip and Loafer. I'll pick Skip and Loafer. So before we move on then, so let's just do a quick recap. On my side, I've got Skip and Loafer. I've got Mashal. I also have...
Demon Slayer and Hell's Paradise. So you got the double... Ooh, okay. Let me see. All right, I got it. I pick King's Ranking, Treasure Chest of Courage.
Which is annoying because that one is like just one episode, I think, but it counts.
As well as Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury Season 2.
Oh, man. I've actually got a lot of friends who have been really, really on Witch from Mercury. They really, really like it. One of my friends even described it as Mochi the Rock, but with mechs.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Because it's girls?
Or maybe there's like a music element to it. I haven't watched enough. I haven't even watched any of
What
Witch
was
from
that
Mercury.
mecha? Is it Macross? That is like music oriented?
No, I thought that was
Like a really
Cross-Hatch.
old no well, that one goes without saying. But well,
Okay, yeah. Let's try and think about the music mecha later on. Civil Gear's not mech, right?
no.
No, but it is music as fuck.
It is music magical girls as fuck.
Okay, so I picked Demon Slayer, Hell's Paradise, Mashal, Skip and Loafer. On Jason's side, you have picked
Ancient Magus' Bride, Insomniacs After School, Oshi no Ko, King's Ranking, as well as The Witch from Mercury Season 2.
So you got 5 right now. And then, let's see. I've got 2 more to pick right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will take Yamada-kun, and I'll take Konosuba.
Oh, okay. All right. Then in that case, I will take Why Regalia Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion, as well as Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts.
You've got a very varied list so far.
Yeah,
I think you're doing pretty well so far.
it's funny because Will, I can actually show you the list right now, and I have not changed the order, and you have almost. I mean, I'll show you. Actually, wait. I'll show you after our pick.
So wait, you picked Regalia, and then what was the other one?
Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts.
So you currently have 7. I've got 6. So I got 2 more, and then 2 more.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fill the air a little bit.
Ooh,
Yeah, pick My Home Hero, bro.
is it time to pick that yet?
It's up to you. I mean, I think Yamada at level 999 was a decent pick for sure. I think, and Konosuba obviously is a very like popular as well as very funny and very highly rated for sure. So there is like no lose-lose situation there. So yeah.
I'm gonna go with Blue Orchestra and Birdie Wing.
Ooh, I have Birdie Wing here too. Damn. Okay. Let's see. 2, 3.
Birdie
4,
Wing is a
5.
very, very left field one. I forgot. I don't remember how high the first season scored, but like there was enough popularity.
7.49.
So should be safe.
It should be safe. So I can only pick one more, right?
Oh no, you're on 7 right now. So you pick 2, and then the last one is guaranteed for you. So you just pick one, whatever, and then the last 2 have to be Dr. Stone and Tony. Is it Tonikaku or Tonikawa?
Tonikawa.
Tonikawa. Oh, it's Tonikaku Kawaii. That's why. Yeah.
What was the last 2 that you picked?
Blue Orchestra and Birdie Wing, season 2.
All right, My Home Hero. Let's go. So just to be clear, that rounds out technically all of my picks.
Yep.
And then Will has the last 2 choices.
Oh my god, damn! Yeah, I got 2 more to pick. Oh, this is hard. I don't know any of these.
It's so silent. The silence is deafening. That my squeaky chair. I swear I'm gonna have to fix the squeaky chair at some point. So yeah, I think the reason why we went with 10 shows is not to only have a whole number, but because the last time we did kind of a snake draft with an average mouse score, we kind of picked a lot more of the surefire hitters, or at least the ones that are more well known, and we kind of wanted to open the floodgates, especially this time around, because there's a lot of properties that are kind of question mark in terms of either they have a good source score or it's popular such that it can lead to a large potential shift and change. And I think that was one of the things that Will and I struggled with, because beyond a certain point, unfortunately, and I really do mean this, which was Will just was going to lose, is just how far apart was that loss.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was not fun at that point. It's not cool, because at the end of the day, it's just two dudes just weaving the fuck out and being dumb with some stupid bet that we really kind of enjoy. So
I have my last two. I'm going to go with Heavenly
Delusion.
Heavenly Delusion.
And the Cafe Terrace and its Goddesses.
Yuri is my job.
Yeah!
Watashi no Yuri wa oshigoto desu.
As someone who has read that manga, I was surprised that you would even consider that. But I actually quite like the manga, to be fair. I actually thought that the manga was pretty good.
Yeah, look, I think that like it's got a decent enough following right now on my anime list, at least for like people waiting to see the anime drop. Manga score is 7.43. Look, come on, it should, and it's Passione, so it's literally a 50-50.
So Will, here, take a look at my list. I did not change the order whatsoever, and you can now see actually the order in which it was my priority list. And as you can see, pretty much the way it went, other than I think Blue Orchestra, which I didn't put on that list. It was all chosen, pretty much.
Nice. So, I think that rounds it out then.
Okay, so let me condense our 20 picks, 10 from Will, 10 from me.
Yep.
Let's start with Will. From the 100K plus members as of right now, recording, Will has chosen Demon Slayer Season 3, as well as Hell's Paradise. Then from the other 8, from the 10K to 100K members.
Yep, we got Mashal, Skip and Loafer, Yamada-kun, level 999, Konosuba, the off story that's focused on Megumin, Birdie Wing Season 2, Blue Orchestra, Yuri is My Job, and Heavenly Delusions.
All right, and for me, I have chosen for, well, actually, I didn't choose it, but it was given to me. The 100K plus shows is Tonikawa Season 2, known as, I think in the manga is Fly Me to the Moon, but I think the anime they call Over the Moon for You or something like that.
Yeah, I'm certain those two are going to be 8s, because all their previous seasons have been 8s and up.
I think Dr. Stone as well is like, I think all 4 of these are surefire 8s.
Yeah, I think Dr. Stone will be an 8.1, 8.2.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Demon Slayer is going to possibly even be a 9.
Yeah, possibly. I think like the fact that like, look, dude, $10 million on U.S. Open weekend.
Yeah, and we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Is this the time? Oh yeah, actually no. So you got Dr. Stone, and you also got Tonikawa season 2.
So Tonikawa season 2, Dr. Stone season 3, and from the 10K to 100K, I have the following shows: Ancient Magus' Bride season 2, Insomniac's After School, Oshi no Ko, King's Ranking, Treasure Chest of Courage, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury season 2, My Home Hero. I have Why Regalia Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion, Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. And I think that's it. Yeah. I think that rounds it all out.
I made a terrible mistake.
Why? What mistake did you make?
King's Ranking is not a 1-episode special.
Yeah, it's like 6.
Yeah. I thought it was a 1-episode special. Ah, fuck. Okay.
Because if it was a 1-episode special, it would not be in the new shows.
That's true.
Yeah. I think it's like I think they call it like a half cur kind of thing.
Yep. Well, we've definitely, got a very, very close battle ahead of us. Who knows? Maybe in like 4 or 5 months' time, it turns out that no, all my picks were shit except for Demon Slayer.
No, I still think like Mashal is going to be really good. I think Skip and Loafer is going to be really dope. Okay, I guess the cops really want to arrest me and put me behind bars,
because
really.
Because we're running over time now, I suppose.
And what we're going to do is go on break.
Grab some lunch. We're gonna grab lunch. Jeez, okay, fine.
Okay, Jesus Christ, we'll stop now. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of this episode of the Good Anime Palette podcast. Will and I have finished our meal. We are ready to go. Irregardless, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, is a popular term used in dialectical American speech in the early 20th century. So, no one is going to understand that besides me and Will in terms of why I decided to mention that.
Yeah, buddy, we're no longer in the 20th century.
Oh, shit. That's correct. Damn. Way to put me on blast because I put myself on blast. Anyways, I realize I dig myself my own grave.
Why don't you just dig yourself a nice seat on this couch because we're about to get comfy?
It's funny you say that, Will, because you just so happened to know, didn't you, of our main discussion topic this time around. Also prefaced by Will very, very early on in the podcast episode itself, we are talking about slice of life and wholesomeness in anime and manga. My wheelhouse. The moniker that I'm known for.
We're not going to go into the gritty, the dirty, the edgy side of anime. We're going to do a complete 180 on the opposite side of the spectrum and go for some of the lightest, fluffiest anime that we've ever seen.
There's no edge. It's just smooth. It's just nice. It's just comfy, fluffy.
Smooth like my brain.
Damn. You dig your own grave there.
I'm laying into it now, so
yeah,
I fully take on the smooth brain moniker.
Hey, fake it till you make it, right? I'm sure that'll catch on, right? Well, so all
right, so
we're back in our genre analysis kind of thing, and obviously, if you know anything about slice of life and wholesomeness in anime and manga, you would be the first and not the last to be like, hey guys, Jason, Will, I don't know if you know this, but slice of life is kind of a big genre within anime and manga specifically. And I'm like, yeah, no doubt. But we still want to talk about it anyways. And okay, maybe we revisit this issue every so often, because I really am a huge fan of anime and manga. I'm also a huge fan of slice of life and wholesomeness, and I got Will on this train too. So,
yeah, I think that in general, when we talk about the anime and manga, it's quite easy to see what kind of genres people like to dig into the most, right? Where just like if people like shonen action, if people like isekais / fantasies, if people want to just focus on like romance or comedy or a mix of the two, there's always like a general genre that comes to mind when people talk about like their favorite things to watch. When it comes to slice of life, though, it's kind of hard to really sort of describe it as a genre because it's very bare bones. There's not a whole lot that happens in slice of life, and like that's kind of the point in watching slice of life.
I would say if we go outside of anime and manga and just Japanese IPs of the animated or light novels and novels, live action Western properties, slice of life is obviously can be an aspect of a show or a book, but
it's never the core component.
Yeah. Such that when we think of slice of life, sorry, Will, if we think of slice of life,
there's really no live action or like non-Japanese property. There might be some in like Korea or Japan. Like you might see stuff in Asia that's slice of life, but in terms of like Western media, Western culture, nothing springs to mind when it comes to a slice of life animation or a slice of life live action.
So we thought that to kickstart this discussion, this genre that anime and manga is well known for, at least in certain aspects. For argument's sake, for a lot of people, when I say slice of life, I don't even have to say live action or not. They go, oh, which anime or manga are you talking about? Because it is very synonymous with anime and manga. Obviously not the whole anime and manga, but you might say is kind of things that is just very much associated with anime and manga.
Yeah, you see it way more often in anime and manga because the fact that, like what we were talking about with Western adaptations of like live actions or animations, you do have series that do have slice of life elements, but it's not the core component. It's usually like comedy with some slice of life, romance, some slice of life, drama or tragedy or whatnot. Whereas with anime and manga, specifically anime and manga, you could have a whole series dedicated to characters who do nothing, where there's no real plot, and that is like the core element of enjoyment for
and
that series.
And the core appeal, because usually when you say nothing much happens, it's always considered a negative.
Yeah, like for example, it's like, oh, like all the memes where it's like, oh, I bet you're gonna tell me that the supermarket arc was super dope, right? It's like, but it was super dope. The supermarket arc is really dope, and it's just like it's kind of ironic, but also like for real.
It's really hard to convince someone who is not very well versed in anime and manga to really understand like a walk to the convenience store or the supermarket grocery arc, if you will, is one that should appeal to a lot of people. But that's just the way it is, and I thoroughly enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, so before we even start peeling the layers of slice of life, let's, in terms of Good Anime Palette podcast tradition, let's explain to the listeners what slice of life, or the short form SOL, is all about.
So, this is copied from Wikipedia. Slice of life anime and manga are narratives without fantastical aspects, which takes place in usually a recognizable everyday setting, such as a suburban high school, of which is focused on human relationships that are often romantic in nature. Now, that is quote-unquote from the Wikipedia page of Slice of Life in Anime and Manga, but
it's 90% correct.
Yeah, because I would say fantastical aspects nowadays, that's not necessarily true anymore, because there are, for example,
Slice of Life isekais.
Yes, I think one that is jumped off from straight out of my mind is Slime 300, which is very laid back, very slice of life, and it's an isekai and is fantastical. So
yeah, would you consider RPG Real Estate to be a slice of life?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Very
one's
much so.
That one's in a fantasy setting.
Yeah, so, not an isekai though, but it is very much a fantasy setting.
And onto the romance aspect.
Yeah, also not true. Maybe like way back when, but nowadays it has evolved into usually sometimes if there is no romantic aspect, that's actually a good thing, because there's no drama or there's no like will they, won't they. It is just, let's just literally take a slice of this person's life or their everyday, kind of nichijou, right? Is everyday life, and then just look at it, at this section.
Nichijou is a bit of an interesting one because of the fact that
not the comedy.
If we're gonna exactly, if we're gonna go by the definition that my Animalist has, slice of life can have drama, comedy, even romance elements, but if by default the core component is comedy, drama, or romance, then it cannot be deemed as a slice of life because the SOL part is no longer the core focus. And so it's like a very fine line. Like Nichijou is a very good example because it's literally just snippets of these schoolgirls' lives, but within each snippet there is a huge amount of comedy that happens.
Yeah, and slapstickness, and in some ways those skits have through lines, like maybe the same characters, but there is no overarching plot that ties it all together, and
no like lingering conflict between characters.
Oh, this is the what's a good one? There is like a boy love manga arc inside of Nichijou, to be fair.
Yeah,
but there's no like very definitive line being drawn like, oh, this is the end of this arc and the beginning of the next arc or next battle, right?
Yeah. So that Nichijou is a very like borderline case. I think, in my opinion, yes, it can be incredibly hilarious depending if it suits your sense of humor. But overall, I'd say it's just a very funny slice of life rather than it being a comedy that has slice of life elements.
Yeah, I agree with that statement as well. Obviously, slice of life being a rather like subjective somewhat gray area term, and I think that is kind of the whole point of the genre itself. Now, I also said slice of life and wholesomeness. Wholesomeness is not exclusively to slice of life. In fact, I would say that kind of wholesomeness, and I'm going to define it right now, it is what a lot of people tend to use interchangeably with slice of life, but it's not exactly the same. I would say slice of life is a genre, whereas wholesomeness is kind of like a feeling or a vibe that is very much synonymous with slice of life, but it is not, I guess the term is mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah, you could definitely see a lot of wholesomeness in romantic comedies or just romances in general, right? But that doesn't mean that because it has those elements, oh, this is totally a slice of life. No, it's not that straightforward.
I think one of the best examples of the antithesis of slice of life is action shonens, for argument's sake. One of the most well-known action shonens is Naruto, and there are plenty of wholesome moments in Naruto where it just makes you feel heartwarming and feel like complete. And that is, I mean, as you can tell by the word whole in wholesomeness, is that whole point, is to give you that feeling of you're satisfied, you're content, you're good, basically. Another several terms that you will hear a lot, whether it is with in conjunction with wholesomeness or with slice of life, is comfy, fluffy, and probably the most hardest to define, moe.
So starting off with probably the easiest one, comfy. It just makes you feel solid, safe.
Do you like sitting on a comfy couch? Do you just like feeling very comfortable? That's essentially what comfy means. So in the terms of anime and manga, everyone has their own interpretation of it. But for argument's sake, the GAP, Will and I actually, I don't know if Will, you agree with this definition. Comfiness means like you feel a sense of safety or safe, and you're not threatened whatsoever. In other words,
when you're watching whatever's on screen, like you don't experience any moments of adversity or conflict.
Right. There's no drama, melodrama, nothing that disrupts the status quo. There's no major bleakness, no grim edginess, if you will, and there's nothing that will worsen the reader or watcher's mood in this case. It's kind of just neutral.
Now to the next level, which is fluffy. Now, we're not saying that, like, oh, something that is comfy and fluffy are two completely different things. You can feel comfy and fluffy at the same time.
But we like to define stuff, right?
And because there are a lot of series that you would not deem to be comfy but fluffy and vice versa.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we're not going to be the type of person, at least if you were to say you are a slice of life aficionado or you are very adamant that you are a slice of life connoisseur, I think you would pay more attention towards what differentiates comfy and fluffy. But if you are, just chilled about it, literally, then it also doesn't matter. So we wanted to satiate both sides and sort of distinguish the difference between all these terms. I think fluffy is just soft, nice to the touch. It is just a very nice term given to something that's just kind of cute, kind of nice and adorable, that kind of thing. It is very different than feeling safe or threatened, so to speak, or the absence of threat, because something can be fluffy and still have confrontations, albeit probably very minor or inconsequential, but there can still be ebbs and flows, whereas comfiness usually comes from a place where there's no up or down whatsoever. It tries its best to just be
as agnostic as possible.
Exactly.
Like, and again, right? We know we might be coming off as a bit pedantic in terms of trying to define what's comfy and what's fluffy,
and we are, but
at the same time, like when you start consuming this particular genre, there are certain things that just click for you. Like, for example, like this is not like a slice of life series, but Red Eye Circulation, right? Would you describe that as comfy or fluffy?
Oh, as in the song?
Yeah. Because it has to
I
be
would say
fluffy.
it's fluffy.
Because literally fuwa is fluffy,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, it's that kind of feeling you said, right? That light feeling you have inside when you're consuming something and you're like, ooh, this makes me feel good. Not necessarily comfy, but it definitely gives me that kind of fluttery feeling where like I know something good's happening. It could even be like when you talk about something that's fluffy. There even could be like cute elements to it too, which is I think now where we start moving more into the moe element of slice of life, which is again another adjective that's kind of difficult to explain and attach to certain things. But as you start watching more of these series, you'll start being able to see that's fluffy, that's moe, that's comfy, and so on.
I think moe is probably the most complex of the terms that we have used to in this main discussion topic thus far. It is so hard to define sometimes that I can't even really put my finger on it definitively. But very, very broadly speaking, moe is a type of cutesy adorableness
That's non-romantic.
that is non-romantic. In other words, it is something that usually gives you must protect at all cost. That type of meme, that kind of impression. So, for example, I think Spy X Family Anya is a very moe, and I would say it's not, in some people's eyes, it's not very moe, but for my definition, Anya Forger is someone that is really cutesy, is kind of not necessarily the smartest or the sharpest tool in the shed, but we still love her and adore her anyways. I don't have any romantic attraction towards Anya Forger, but I will fight tooth and nail to protect her against any adversity that she faces whatsoever, such that I even gave a GAP villain award to the person that made her cry once.
I think he wanted to maybe. I mean, this is just by my definition, by my own examples. I think like the perfect character that encapsulates moe would be Kana from Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, the little dragon.
Oh hell yeah! Holy shit! Yeah, she is
That's
top tier
moe.
moe, and I adore Kana as a character, but I don't feel the need to ever do anything beyond that other than to protect her, preserve that smile, as they say. And that really is very much so, super broadly speaking, the definition of moe. I think we can really go off on and on about what moe is and isn't, but that's not the point of what we're trying to say. But it is heavily, heavily, heavily used in slice of life.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, now that we're done with the general descriptions of certain areas of slice of life, we now have to go into the subgenres of slice of life. There's quite a lot, but we will do the best we can to condense them, and at the same time, we kind of have to talk about them because not all slice of life are equal in terms of what they're trying to showcase, what they're trying to portray.
I think there are three kind of subgenres of slice of life that is probably the most well-known. And since we're going off of the moe topic, let's do CGDCT.
Which stands for cute girls doing cute things. The things being interchangeable.
And the things being pretty much anything. Do you like fly fishing? Well, slow loop is your style.
Do you like DIY? Well,
DIY is your style. Do you like just going to school? Well, then pick from a huge catalog of slice of life animes and mangas.
If you like camping, there's only one place to go, and that's Yuru Camp.
Oh, do you like tanks, perchance? Girl und Panzer is technically cute girls doing cute things. It is in the title. It's exactly what it means. Don't get it twisted. There's no elaboration needed besides exactly what the term and acronym is trying to say.
Yeah, I think important case is literally like you just remove a lot of any sort of like romantic attention to these genres, and you'll end up just enjoying what the characters do, what the characters try and do when it comes to interacting with everyone else. I think like the core area of focus within slice of life, unlike all other genres, is not the plot but the characters
and the vibe and atmosphere. I think is
that's garnered from the characters interacting with each other.
Absolutely. In shonen action, the characters can be bland. The power levels, the conflicts can be bland. Oh, there's a good end versus an evil. But if the action is not on point, the fuck are you doing?
Well, even if the action is on point, imagine you come across like a villain and they're super fucking edgy, but they're just edgy for the sake of being edgy. There's no like good backstory. There's no plot that explains as to how this person became the person they are. I find that also lacking too.
But if the action in a shonen action is not on point,
Then you're done.
Then you're from the get-go, you are fighting a losing battle. Similarly, in slice of life, or especially the subgenre cute girls doing cute things, if it's not cute or not like the vibe and the atmosphere it gives you is not one of relaxation, slow down pace, just chilled out vibes, then what the fuck are you doing?
Well, then you become a Nichicho, as in a Nichicho type, an everyday type kind of genre, in which you're not like subgenre, where there really isn't a specific appeal. There really isn't a specific shtick that this slice of life series does. Rather, it is a Nichijo. It is just an everyday slice of everyday life.
Right. Now, a second subgenre of slice of life and wholesomeness that actually you have heard us use every so often,
but you might not know what it is
Iyashike. Iyashike is something that is very specific to kind of Japanese works, primarily anime and manga, is a subgenre. And essentially, rather than giving you a cutesy vibe or giving you that kind of wholesomeness, it essentially tries to rejuvenate you. It tends to have a healing or soothing effect on the viewer, on the watcher, on the reader. And the word Niyashike literally means healing type or just healing in Japanese. And we did some research, which basically just means we Wikipedia it. But it actually originated in the late 1970s when it emerged as a subgenre in the wake of like the Great Hansin earthquake and the Tokyo subway attack.
Yeah, so the sarin attack that happened in the mid-1990s as a result of a death cult, a doomsday cult in Japan. That was massive tragedy. And I think a lot of people needed comfort, they needed escape, they needed healing. And that's essentially, what Iyashiki, is meant to do. It's meant to be able to find that level of comfort and take people away from the depths of despair, sorrow, pain. It doesn't mean that you have to be like in those particular conditions to watch it.
Mundaneness, right? Being mundane, or when after like a long day's work, a hard day's work, all you just want to do is sit down and enjoy your time. Inuyashike, kind of the whole purpose of it is to make you feel better, whether it's about your current state of mind or about yourself or about humanity in general. It's meant to calm you down, soothe you, heal you. Not like ASMR, but in a way similar in vein, I guess.
So when we were talking about how Lost Slice of Life, the core plot isn't necessarily the core focus. Within Iyashike, there was actually someone who wrote it. Shannon K. Garrity of Otaku USA coined it pretty nicely, where the focus isn't so much on the characters or the plot, but rather on the visual setting and the world that builds within this particular series.
Right, because then you're kind of escaping into this world. You're kind of sucked in, and you kind of insert yourself, similarly with how isekais sort of, or harems, put you in that kind of fantasy. I would say Iyashike does that, but in a less it does satiate something, but it's less, I guess.
Well, again, I think it's like you can have
less cultured.
You can have a cute girls doing cute things in an Iyashike. You can have an everyday cute girls doing cute things as well. It's not like they're exclusive.
Exactly. And I would also argue the opposite, which is not every slice of life has Inuyashike properties or would be labeled as such, but they're all within the genre of slice of life. Now, one that I discovered by researching this topic, but actually makes a lot of sense, is something called everyday type / air type.
Or the Nichijo type.
Yes, the Kukike type, which is like basic, or the Nichijo-ke type. Ke means type, so I said type twice. My bad, guys. But kuki means essentially air. I'm just looking at the kanji here. That's Chinese for air or oxygen. And Ichijo is everyday life. So in this genre, the types of relationships, whether it is romantic and whatnot, is completely eliminated or kept at a minimum such that you don't even need to worry about any conflicts whatsoever. Almost zero bad stuff happens. Almost like eliminated, like squeaky clean. So, hey, all you want to do sometimes is just go into probably a cafe and then just talk to some cute maid girls who just...
Or people watch.
And that's essentially what everyday type or air type is.
Yeah. It's basically going to like a riverside or going to like a little hill, find a nice grassy patch, lay down, a little tarp, sit down, read a book, let the clouds go by, and then that's one episode. The next episode, you go to another park, and you eat a donut, and you watch the sun rise and fall. That's second episode. That's just essentially it. No major conflicts, no major drama, just everyday shit.
So now that we have gone on and on and on about the slice of life genre and their subgenres and definitions, why is it popular? Well, probably the most easiest to see thing based off of all the definitions and terms that we have just said is escapism, right?
You want to remove yourself from hardship and stress, right? You want to you had a tough day at work. Maybe your school grades weren't as good as you thought they would be, or something's not going too well with a particular relationship, and you just want to detach yourself from that reality.
And it is very different than obviously watching your Vinland Sagas or Bungo Stray Dogs or upcoming Mashal, for example. It is very much focused on, rather than escaping to another world, for example, with isekais, it is just, I just want to forget about stuff for a bit. I don't really want to think about work. I don't even want to think about, like, heavy themes or really, like, tough to ponder queries and dilemmas.
Or I just don't even want to experience any conflicts, which you would see in shonen action. I just want something to numb my brain so that I don't have to think about the harsh realities I currently experience. And slice of life comes in to save the day.
And I also want to iterate that we keep saying escapism and mundaneness and doom and gloom type scenarios. We are not saying that you have to be in that extreme state of mind or well-being in order to appreciate slice of life.
And it's also not the whole purpose of slice of life either, right? In the end, it's just it could just be as simple as I just want to chill out.
Exactly.
I just want to sit on my couch and see what's on TV.
I think the whole point of that is don't think so deep, because it ain't that deep.
It really is not, no.
Yeah. Going off of that, relaxed pace is kind of something that slice of life genres are extremely well known for, because they slow things down so that it is not like Chainsaw Man where adrenaline pumping, blood pumping, dead bodies everywhere. In fact, it is fluffy stuff everywhere.
And I think that's probably where like a lot of the criticism of this genre comes from, where relaxed pace can be interpreted as being slow. And look, it's true. Slice of life tend to be on the slow side of things, but that's the point. You don't want to have to power through and watch and binge watch slice of life. The whole point of it is to be able to be like enjoyed at a moderate pace, so that you spend 25-30 minutes or however long you are like spending watching this slice of life to just chill and just kick back.
Yeah, if you want to binge it all, sure.
Or if you want something more fast-paced, then you've got shonen action, you've got mystery suspense, you've got adventure isekais.
I really do think that the relaxed pace does not mean... Let me try to describe it as such, which is, if I were to describe the plot or what happens in a slice of life, as Will mentioned earlier with like a supermarket run or finding like the food ingredients you need to make a meal that night, if I were to just write what happens on, like a document or just like describe it to someone, it's hard for people without having a lot of experience or know-how with slice of life to not really understand why that is appealing whatsoever.
Yeah. Like, you can boil down a lot of genres, a lot of like series within the SOL genre as a group of high school kids experience different things every day. A group of young adults experience different things every day. A young professional moves to the big city and experiences different things every day. That's literally, if you boil down each SOL, it comes down to that.
Yes.
But is that a bad thing? No, because it's not that simple. It's not just saying that, like, oh, like 5 kids go to a supermarket. The next episode, they go to a water park. But when you're trying to find a plot, as we've mentioned before with slice of life, you've missed the point of watching a slice of life. You're pouring focus onto something that clearly isn't the most important component of slice of life, but rather, who are those characters? Why are those characters going to the supermarket? Oh, like, is there a specific thing they're trying to look for? Are they just trying to, go there and buy stuff on discount? Or maybe they're trying to, buy ingredients to make a cake for someone's birthday and whatnot? Like, those are the things that when you watch it, you can basically induce a lot of enjoyment out of, if it is your thing.
Yeah, which goes off of the definitions that we're trying to emphasize earlier of characters oriented rather than plot oriented. The types of characters, even though there are definite archetypes within slice of life, it is not necessarily the focus of what they do, but for example, how they do it, how they are portrayed or conveyed or depicted, that really encapsulates one of the biggest appeals of slice of life.
Yeah. And when you start getting more connected with these characters in a slice of life, you start perhaps seeing things differently compared to how you usually see things. Like, if a character in a slice of life is very well written, you end up seeing the world differently. You end up feeling a bit different about a specific topic, a specific person, a specific emotion. And I think that's also like what a slice of life can do for you. It can literally change your beliefs, or at least it portrays a certain belief from a different perspective that's easier for you to understand and accept.
Yeah. I also think that, and this is just my personal take on slice of life in general, is exposing the viewer, reader, watcher to a new facet of a different hobby or a discipline, such that, for example, when I think of camping, Yuru Camp introduced me to the art of appreciating camping. I mean,
I've told you before, when I was going camping, I literally watched the How to Pack Your Backpack guide from Yuru Camp to prepare myself to go camping.
Yeah, I think, for example, we mentioned Slow Loop. That introduces the topic of fly fishing. There is DIY that is sort of like handyman kind of tools. We keep reiterating these same kind of several shows, but that's only because it just comes like in recently when we kept consuming those really good shows. But there's tons and tons. Like, I think Is This Order a Rabbit is a very well-known slice of life that is about making coffee at a coffee shop.
Yeah, and I think like this particular point as well is basically another appeal of slice of life. It's relatability. The fact that a lot of times it does stuff that is not out of like your reach. It's not something that you can't do, or like you have to be a master at to fully appreciate. Right? Like, you could literally just be a beginner fly fisher. You could have no experience in going camping whatsoever, but you watch these and it gives you a perspective that makes it easy for you to understand. Or if you are an avid camper or fly fisher, then you get to see shit play out in a very, very comfortable manner. So it's never like so sensationalist and absurd. Like, if you watch Naruto, of course we're not gonna have Sharingan eyes, and we're not gonna be able to like boil a fucking Rasengan in our palm.
Look, you could try to be a ninja, but you might have varying degrees of success doing so, right? But I think, for example, another slice of life that I kind of want to get into that I never really got around to is Encouragement of Climb, which is just about a bunch of girls going hiking and climbing, and they're basically talking about and philosophize. What was it? Philosophicalizing. What's the? They talk about their life essentially while they climb, and it sometimes propels me to go outside, touch grass, or go climbing. Same thing with Yuru Camp with Will. It kind of got him more knowledgeable, kind of the foot in the door with camping.
I now have a tent, a gas stove. I have a bunch of stuff that I have stored up in storage to be able to say, hey, if you want to go camping, I got you. And that's the other thing about like these slice of life series as well. Just because it's like a hobby focused or like an interest focused kind of show, you don't always portray those characters as masters or aces in those particular things. No,
usually it's the opposite.
A lot of times they're just learning about it from the first step as well. So that's the other relatable part to it too. It's not such an insurmountable thing that when you watch it, you're like, oh fuck yeah, I'm never gonna be able to learn how to do knitting. I'm never gonna be able to know how to do like synchronized swimming and whatnot. No, these characters portray this as a hobby that one can be difficult, but if you put enough time and care and just enjoyability into it, that it ends up being something that is quite easy to just experience and hopefully enjoy.
Right. With sports anime, for example, I think Slam Dunk is one of the ones that I grew up with that I remember at that time, due to the anime, people got really into basketball. I think there has to be Ace of the Diamond or
Haikyuu.
Was it One Outs? Was it Major? I think it's
One Outs Major, yeah.
Those must have contributed to getting some people interested in a sport.
But these are also portraying athletes that are at the top of their game.
Yes, and obviously with like Naruto or Jujutsu Kaisen, you can't be a cursed sorcerer. You can't be a ninja.
You can't be the next Hokage of the Hidden Village, You
can be the Hokage of your own village, population 1, but really you don't
stretch too far.
Yeah. But with Slice of Life, it gives you an easy glimpse and avenue into this hobby or interest such that if you're interested, you can learn a little bit more and maybe you pursue it a little bit more than just simply turning off the anime stream or closing the iPad or the manga and go do it. Or you just be like, oh, that was cool. I learned a little bit here and there and move on to the next one, right?
Yeah. I think the last thing that, well, at least on my side of why Slice of Life can be compatible for you is the fact that it's compatible with a lot of different genres.
Yeah, I think Slice of Life is so grand in scope, mainly due to its ambiguous nature, that you can arguably say anything is a slice of life and have it be technically true, even though it's not in the same vein or spirit that a lot of weebs would associate slice of life with.
Depending on how loose you use the term SOL, it could apply to pretty much any series if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, even Naruto has slice of life elements where like he would go to eat ramen.
But that's not the core of like why people watch Naruto or what Naruto is meant to be, right?
Yeah, and I would not say Naruto is a slice of life anime.
But the thing with like it being so compatible with a lot of things, you could see a slice of life comedy, a slice of life drama, a slice of life gourmet, right?
A slice of life romance, and we will touch on those for our recommendation list.
And then within that too, it's like if we do like hobbies and interests, there's a plethora of those. It's like maybe it's a school-based one, right? It doesn't have to be just random students. It could be students in a filmmaking class. They could be on the student council.
Or literally one about teachers, right? There is no holds barred, no limitations in the sense of slice of life. I mean, it can even span generations, span worlds.
Yeah, we're not saying that it's like so like generic across the board that anything could be a slice of life. No, what we're saying is that it is an empty canvas. It is an empty palette, for if you want to go that way and say like you could do whatever you want was a slice of life.
But before we fill our palettes with good animes to recommend to you, let's talk very briefly about animation studios and anime series that, in my opinion and Will's opinion, is historically significant within the realm of slice of life. So
we've talked about Eurocamp being like the god when it comes to like hobby based, interest based. I guess even like CGDC, cute girls doing cute things as well.
Yeah, I would say Yuru Camp in my tier list of slice of life comfiness is S tier, God tier. I think probably one of the most well known slice of life or iyashike animes that has been there since the dawn of time is Aria the animation.
Which have you watched yet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I have watched the first season as well as parts of the second. There's like so many.
It's like Aria the animation, Aria the origination, Aria the something, right?
But not stagnation, I guess.
Hope not. Well, I mean, it depends.
Who knows?
If the rivers run dry, right? It's focused on gondolas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Space gondolas, to be precise.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter about water then.
No, it's in like a Venice type city.
Okay,
but it's on like Mars or something, not Earth. That's the thing, apparently.
Yeah. Do you have like much to go into for like the cute girls doing cute things thing? Because that one is like, I'd say probably one of the most popular subgenres within slice of life, and there's a plenty of those.
Well, let me tell you an anime that I do like a lot, but won't recommend per se,
because you probably watched it or you already know enough about, right?
Is K-On! Being kind of the birth and explosion of cute girls doing cute things for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, really. If I were to tell you there's an episode where they go to a music store to buy a guitar, does that spoil anything? Kind of, I guess, because
I know.
But when you go and watch that episode, it's probably one of the best episodes in that whole season. And it is so mundane sounding, but it's the best. And I really do like how K-On! Is just a bunch of cute girls doing quote-unquote nothing, but I just love it to bits. It's just great. And Bocchi the Raw kind of riffs off of that. Is also funny too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they put it more on music comedy rather than like slice of life comedy. But hey, like that's just genres.
Oh,
are
right, because
defined
they're in
by
bands, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
But K-On! Is more on the slice of life side. Now, speaking of K-On! Though, so we've talked about like, I guess the staples of series within those specific subgenres.
Stable though.
Yeah, I do like that song, but with K-On! Being produced by Kyoto Animation, I think we need to talk about KyoAni again.
Wait. I love KyoAni. What are you talking about? I love this.
I know you love this. I'm saying that because we did a whole ass episode on it already. But since we're talking about slice of life, there's no way we ignore about like KyoAni because, dude, like Lucky Star, fucking.
I think Lucky Star is the most moe slice of life anime I have probably seen in my entire life. I don't know if there's another one that really tops that in terms of quality, sheer, no direction.
It's hard to argue against that.
Like moe. But hey, KyoAni, do you like Dragon Girls? KyoAni has you covered. Do you like dudes having like, bows and arrows? They have an anime for that. Do you like school band? Like orchestral music band? They have an anime for that.
Do you like traditional Japanese suburban markets? They have Tomoko Market.
It is so crazy to me that KyoAni is so good at slice of life that it is undeniable that if there is any... I was like, oh, Skip and Loafer is going to be done by KyoAni, right? But it turns out I was wrong.
Nope.
It is done by PA Works, which I think is a decent kind of studio known for their slice of life anime. Now,
I mean, personally for me, PA Works, I would know more for producing good quality anime originals But I also wouldn't
like
argue that,
Akiba made Wars,
yeah,
right?
but I wouldn't argue the fact that they do also make some pretty good slice of life series.
I kind of think that the trilogy, in my opinion, the trilogy of slice of life, cute girls doing cute things for PA Works is Shiro Bako, Sakura Quest, and Aquatopa on the White Sand. For animation with cute girls in a workplace, Sakura Quest with tourism in the boondocks, and Aquatopa on the White Sand with aquarium.
Yeah, you could. I mean, like you could also say the same with like JC Staff and Cloverworks. Like JC Staff have got
100%.
Azumanga Daioh. They've got Amanchu, You and Me, Flying Witch. For Cloverworks, they've got AKB Sailor Uniform. Yeah, you also have what's the other one called? Slow Start, which is
It's mid. It's
mid, but it is very much within the slice of life. And to some extent, Dress Up Darling, you would obviously focus more on the romance side, but it is slice of life.
And it's a bit etchy, but yeah, slice of life for sure.
Yeah.
No, like really, like yeah.
So it's not like KyoAni. Okay, KyoAni is like definitely known as like the studio that produces the fluffiest, the comfiest, the most moe shit. At the same time, this is also a studio that can also make you cry.
Violet Evergarden. Yeah.
Clanad.
Yeah. So it's good.
It's a good
KyoAni is great. It's almost like we had so much to talk about them. We had a whole episode dedicated to them.
This whole slice of life episode was just basically us being able to shill for KyoAni again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but you can't argue that, right? Like Lucky Star, fucking K-On!, Kabayashi's Dragon Maid, Tamako Market, like they're all moe, chill, comfy, and fluffy as heck.
Didn't they do? Who did Nichijou?
Them as well.
Exactly. I'm gonna spoil maybe 10 minutes of Lucky Star, a 10-minute segment, which is it shows
the cream puff or
okay, that was like the first skit, but there was, I think actually within the first episode or two, a section where they do like a split screen between an older sister and a younger sister and what they do throughout the day.
I think that's episode 2.
And that's just that section, that skit. But that's it. It's great.
Now you're probably listening to this and thinking, the fuck are you guys talking about? You guys are weird as shit. Why would that be interesting or exciting to anybody? And that's the point. It's not meant to be interesting or exciting. We're not saying that slice of life is boring on purpose. We're saying that not a whole lot has to happen for you to enjoy what's going on the screen.
I wouldn't say it's on purpose, but I would say it's designed in such a way that there isn't a lot going on.
Yeah. That's the kind of core thing, right? The lack of conflict, the lack of the discourse, the lack of anything happening is kind of the point of watching slice of life sometimes. You don't need to have like somebody who's out on like a murderous rampage or avenging the death of a loved one or pursuing a loved one. Like
unless it's smothering you with cuteness.
Yeah. So
and
like
cotton candy.
Yeah. Cotton candy is great.
Cotton candy is great.
So yeah, like what's your favorite color for cotton candy? Blue.
I gotta go traditional pink.
Okay. But
nothing wrong with blue.
Yeah.
Do you do the white though?
No, nobody should ever do white. White is just sugar. You gotta add some food coloring into that, man.
What about brown?
I've never seen brown.
Well, time to make it happen. But before you get to that, before you start making cotton candy, Will and I have 5 recommendations for you within the realm of slice of life. It is not the only one because I have you know that I personally have a tier list of every single slice of life that I have consumed.
Which we may decide to make public one day.
Don't.
In 2035.
2045, how about that?
No. Because
it stands alone.
Because at that point, you know what's going to happen. The robots will take over.
Let them take over.
And then they'll look at your slice of life. It's like, I don't see any cyberpunk here.
Okay, the first anime that I am going to recommend is probably one of the first 10s in my entire life.
I think if anybody who is into like slice of life and has a top 10, maybe even top 5 list for slice of life, I think this series would show up in the majority of them.
And I implore everybody to check Azumanga Daioh, which is based on the completed manga of the same name by Kiyohiko Azuma, who did the story and the art. Completed with 4 volumes, 69 chapters. Very nice.
Which is also quite short, too. Only 4 volumes.
Yep. And is published in English by Yen Press as a complete omnibus on December 15, 2009. There has been lots of other official translations in the past, but this is the most recent one. I think one of the things that Azumanga Daioh does that is very much akin to a lot of slice of life is it being timeless.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the anime aired over 20 years ago and we're still talking about it.
Oh, yeah, spring 2002 by JC Staff.
Yeah, like back when JC Staff were on their game.
Yep, with the anime with a mouse score of 7.98, dude. The manga score, even better, with 8.35. Popularities are in the 600s for the animes, and the manga is like 300s.
307.
307.
Yeah.
So, come on. What's it about? I can't even, it doesn't matter. It's about a bunch of high school girls going about their lives.
But I think
and teachers.
So that's the thing, right? Like we've talked about how like if you were to boil down like the core plot, the core synopsis of slice of life, more often than not they'll end up just kind of sounding the same. But there's a reason why Azumanga Daioh is like if there was, you know, a Mount Rushmore of slice of life anime, it would be on there.
Let me see. So it would be, if I have to be honest, right? It would be Azumanga Daioh. It will probably be K-On! I think Yuru Camp would be probably the most recent one.
So who takes the last spot? And again, this is not like your definitive list. This is just something that's at the top of your head, right? Like with Kobayashi's Dragon Maid go in there?
No, I mean, it would be...
Did you say K-On!?
I did say K-On!
Then what about Aria?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Aria would be number 4. But not last, but not least.
It's just they're all on that pedestal.
They're all on that pedestal.
Yeah. We can break down like your list at some point, but we're not doing that now.
I don't know if we're ready for that.
But Azumanga Daioh, right? Like you've read / watched it.
I own the DVD.
Yeah.
Dude.
So why does it hold so much appeal to not just slice of life fans but anime fans in general? Because dude, like 665th in terms of popularity on my anime list for the anime, 307 for the manga. It's more than just cute girls doing cute things, more than just everyday type slice of life shit, right? Like, what is there about Azumanga Daioh that makes it so popular?
You're going to hate me for saying this, but it's going to be the characters. You get the kudere, you get the chibi genius, you get the know-it-all teacher, English teacher that is English, basically. You get the English teacher's best friend, who's a PE teacher, and probably the best character, the airhead girl. She has an actual name in the manga, but her name is Osaka. Why? Because they couldn't remember her name, but it was a transfer student from Osaka, and they don't make fun of her dialect, but they kind of was like,
oh, you've got a hick kind of like Western Japan accent.
Yeah,
because that's always the thing. It's always been like the conflict of like, not the conflict, but like the division between like Tokyo and Osaka.
Like, oh, what's your name?
West.
It's blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's too hard to remember. You're Osaka from now on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is the school in Azumanga Daioh based in? Is it in Tokyo? Because if it's Tokyo, then it makes sense as to why. Because they always make fun of people from not make fun of, but they always like quip on the whole like, oh, you're from the West, you've got that hillbilly accent, and there's always like you can usually hear a Kansai accent, whether they be from Kyoto or they're from Nara or Osaka, even like some like in the outskirts of Hiroshima and Kobe. So it's like when you're from that particular region of Japan, more often than not, they'll always point out, "Oh, you're from that side. You've got that accent. Oh, I can hear it."
Osaka is MVP. Not only the place, but also the character in Azumanga Daioh. Her airheadness is, in many ways, one of my actually the first experience where a airhead character was appealing to me that I appreciate, because I always associated airheadness, like ditziness, as a negative. And of course, Osaka is doesn't have it all together, but it is just so good. I'm going to spoil one scene, which is they, in the morning after like some camping trip, Osaka had to go find some plate or some sort of cutlery. She ends up grabbing the knife, a butcher's knife. And then because she is airheadedness, a lot of the other classmates are like, "Oh, did you wake up the teacher yet? Oh no, she's still asleep. Why don't you go wake her up, Osaka?" She then goes and wakes her up with like a blade in her hand. The teacher wakes up and is like, "The fuck are you doing, Osaka?" And then Osaka sees it, the fact that the teacher's awake. She completes her mission and her job, and she's like, "Oh, you're awake. Okay. Next time." But the fact that she said "next time" in such a way is such a serial killer thing. Then all of a sudden, everyone freaks out. It's like, why are you holding a knife? A butcher's knife. And that's a skit. That's Osaka. She waits at an intersection at a crossing, couldn't decide when to cross or not. Then it switches lights, and then she has to stand there again, and it repeats like 2-3 times. That's a skit.
Okay, all right. I haven't read or watched any of Azumanga Daioh, but I know it's a name that comes up a lot when it comes to talking about slice of life. So, if you were to go on this pilgrimage of slice of life, Azumanga Daioh, one of those stops?
100%. In fact, I think it is the starting point, in my opinion. It was for me, at least.
Not Lucky Star or K-On?
I think K-On, maybe K-On. Lucky Star is too moe, such that if it's like your first foray,
I think, yeah, it can't be overwhelmingly moe for some people. I think for me, I was like, okay, this is a bit much now. I'm not sure if I can finish this, but no, Lucky Star's good. But Azumanga Daioh, definitely something that if you want to go on to this slice of life journey, or if you're already on this journey, you haven't watched it yet.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, so that is my recommendation. But Will, it's not just about me. It's about me and you, Will. Or as you say, you and me.
You and Me by JC Staff, 2 seasons. I've watched both of them. You have watched one? Or
That's correct. You and Me, based off of the completed manga of the same name by Kiichi Hota. 17 volumes, 103 chapters. Currently, there is no official English translated publication, unfortunately.
But you got 2 seasons of anime to watch.
Fall 2011 and Spring 2012 by JC Staff. Let me tell you, Will, how I feel about Me and You. Or You and Me.
Right.
Sorry.
Because I watched it first for a cleanup a while ago.
Yeah, it was on my plan to watch that you got, from the lottery, and you went from, I don't know what this is about, but all right, to watching all of it, all 2 seasons.
Fucking loved it.
And now that I have finished the first season, or pretty much finished the first season, it has some drama to it. It has some, I think that's what you also said during cleanup, right? Like, it has some rumblings of romance, some conflicts.
But it gets dealt with very, very amicably.
It's just nice. It's just so nice. It's about a group of high school dudes for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you this. They do the twin dynamic very well, because I thought offhand, like, usually twins are kind of relegated as like carbon copies of each other. Obviously, that's what the definition of twins are. But to have one twin be kind of different than the other and have it be somewhat, quote unquote, acceptable in the pantheon of twin archetypes, I didn't think I would be that on board with the twins, but they are just priceless.
They play out really, really well because it's a very wholesome relationship the two have, and their interaction with the other characters as well.
So deadpanned. I love the twins, dude.
I think all the characters are very, very well written as well, and like you said, in terms of like, there's loads of conflict that happens in the series, but it's not such overbearing conflict that it carries over from episode to episode. A lot of it is dealt with within like a 5 to 10 minute span, and then that's it, and everyone moves on, and they're all like happy go lucky again.
I think, to my knowledge, every episode starts with some sort of monologue of sorts.
Yeah.
And then before the monologue ends, you hear the guitar playing, and I'm just like, fuck yes. This is so good.
And then you always have like maybe a little bit of a dialogue, maybe like a little bit of like a monologue or an intro, and it's juxtaposed with either like a backdrop, a scene of the boys doing something, or cats.
I was about to say, so good.
You couldn't have picked a better slice of life animal to portray in this series other than cats, because people always just assume, right? Like, you have a dog, you go out, take it for walks, have fun,
Or like
play.
it all like runs up to you and kind of acts all affectionate.
But cats do nothing, and that's the point in having the cats in the show. They don't necessarily are like, they're not actual representations of each character, but they're just there as like a motif.
I love it because sometimes they would like pan the shot to a group of cats, essentially doing similar.
It's that juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot stop singing high praises. I don't know why it took me this long, and will beat me to it.
Well, I mean, I got lucky, right? Like, I drew it out of a hat, and like I there was never a guarantee that I was going to like it, but I ended up absolutely loving You and Me.
What did you give season 1 and 2?
I gave it 8 and 9.
Okay, so I was like unsure about 8 or 9 for the first season, but I ended up giving it an 8, not because I didn't like it, but as much as like it wasn't exceptional. It was just very, very good.
What I would say is that the first season introduces you to the characters and you learn more about them, but then the second season is when you see the characters interacting with each other on a different level and also continuing to grow that world that they exist in. So once you know the character backstories, once you know their demeanors, their characteristics, their personas, then you just get to fully experience everything in one go for the second season. You don't have to worry about learning about the twins, learning about the transfer student, learning about the angry kid with the hot mom.
And that goes into probably similar in vein in what Will said about the You and Me season 1 and 2 with my experience with Non Biyori, based off of the completed manga series of the same name by Ato, who did the story and the art. 16 volumes, 125 chapters, published in English by Seven Seas Entertainment. Fall 2013 is the first season. I finished summer 2015 season 2, known as Non Biyori Repeat. There's, I think, a third season and a movie.
Yeah, there was the movie first, which was Non Biyori Vacation, and then Non Biyori Nonstop, which is the third season.
All done by Silverlink, at least the first and second season, with an anime season 1 score of 7.94.
It just straight up averages out to be a strong, a solid 8.
Yep.
Yeah. So I only watched 3 episodes of season 1, and I gotta say, like, I really like the opening sequence. Not the OP, but the opening sequence to episode 1, which is literally just backdrops of this rural land in Japan. Not like it is very much set in contemporary times. It's just like mountains and rice fields. There's a cow crossing the road, and you hear like the piano playing, and it's like very soothing, very relaxing. And then you hear a very jarring recorder playing in the background alongside it. The piano recorder duet is such a perfect juxtaposition, because then you start seeing the characters come in, and then you realize, oh, it's about a story about a young girl who transferred in from Tokyo to this small, like, bumpkin town in rural Japan. And, she's supposed to be like, well educated, sophisticated, girl from the big city. And she's transferred to a town where the school literally only has 5 students.
Do you like Renge, though?
I love all the characters. It's hard to say what I like or don't like about them because they all do the very thing that they set themselves up as from the get-go, where like you have the young little first grader who always walks around with a recorder, stops, turns around. Do I really live in the countryside? And it keeps walking. Oh, wait. No, it keeps walking.
Yeah, so that's Renge, the twin pigtailed, purple hair girl whose older sister is the only teacher at this school who has all 5 grades meshed into this kind of dilapidated school. And it is so good. So good. What I like a lot about the second season, similar to what you said about you and me, Will, is that the second season is called Non Non Biyori Repeat, because actually that's done on purpose, because let's just say it repeats a lot of things but from a different perspective of season 1. And you see new things and different things, and it just makes that whole journey ever so good. I think in season 2, Non Non Biyori Repeat, there is one scene where Renge plays the recorder. That's all she does for, and I counted, around 48 seconds. There, she's just sitting at home playing the recorder. And then, like, her older sister's like, yo, time for dinner. And then she goes, and that's the end of that, like, skit and the end of that episode. It was so good. So dumb. Is it? No. It's so good.
I like Non Non Biyori. I think that, like, I could continue watching it for sure. I think, like, watching 3 episodes, you pretty much know what's going to happen the rest of the series, but that shouldn't stop you from enjoying the series. Like, you should be able to kick back, relax, and enjoy Non Non Biyori.
And of course, when you juxtapose it with the rural Japan, very I wouldn't say it's mundane, but it's more down to earth, more really laid back, rather than the hustling and bustling of, like, Tokyo City or any other metropolitan area. It really marries that slice of life genre so well and blends it so well together.
I mean, they literally end, I think, episode 1, where they're sitting at a bus stop, and it's like, oh, we missed the bus. Oh, okay, we'll wait for the next one.
6 hours later.
It's like, wait, really? 6 hours? Yeah, we have really infrequent bus schedules here, and then it ends. That's it.
Yeah, it's great. I fucking love it. So I really like Non Non Biyori Repeat way more than Non Non Biyori. So it's like 8 and 9 essentially. Similarly,
you haven't watched the movie or nonstop yet, right?
No, but it is probably going to be a nonstop ride now that I'm on Non Non Biyori to finish the rest of it. It really makes me remember why I liked it so much.
Right. Well, we just talked about a property that was produced by Silverlink. Why don't we talk about another one that was also produced by Silverlink? Tanaka-kun is always listless. You think maybe we're skipping a beat on Silverlink? They've also made some pretty good slice of life stuff too.
Yeah,
I mean, we're highlighting them right now. So
yeah,
you have watched all of Tanaka-kun is always listless. I literally just watched a couple of clips on YouTube. And I can kind of see, because you asked me, it's like, do you just melt? Do you just like chill and watch it? It's like, I didn't know what you meant by that, other than the fact that I'm watching a slice of life. But then after watching a couple clips, I was like, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah, Tanaka-kun is always listless. The dude just doesn't want to do anything. He just doesn't want to do. He wants to do fuck all. He has a best friend who is kind of like his caretaker, big, tall guy, blonde hair, kind of looks like someone you don't want to mess with, and in certain cases, you do not want to mess with him. But I think one of the earlier on kind of tropes or motifs that they use is Ota, I think is the name of the I can't remember. It starts with O, but essentially this big, tall dude would, carry Tanaka from class to class because he just doesn't want to move.
Yeah, he's a slouch. He's a little slug, basically. Surprised you didn't do any background information for this one, so I'll take care of it this time. Biyori is based on the completed manga of the series by the same name, by Atto. It's Atto. Story and art was done by them. 16 volumes in total, 125 chapters. Sorry, no, wrong one.
Wait, you're reading Biyori.
It is based on the completed manga of the same name by Nozomi Uda. 13 volumes and 145 chapters. Unfortunately, to this day, still no official English translated publication. So, guess you're going to have to watch the anime then. Came out back in 2016 spring, holding a 7.84 for the raw mouse score, but a very, very popular 459.
You can't really go into plot details. It's just a guy that doesn't want to move and his chilled out life.
The clips that I watched for Tanaka-kun is the guy likes eating McDonald's a lot or whatever
so Devil's a part-timer is probably going to be full-fledged in this world,
Yeah, that's a crossover waiting to happen right there. No, I think that when you watch this, a lot of times you watch characters interact with each other and exist in the world, in the worlds that they're set in those particular series to kind of just see what they do, how they do it, how they interact, how they speak. When watching Tanaka-kun, I think that the level of relatability is in the sense that you want to be just as lazy as him. In a sense that you just don't want to have a lot of cares in the world. You kind of want to just let the world go by and that's it. Like there is a little bit of like a defeatist element to Tanaka-kun, but at the same time, it's like there's no one there to like tell him he's doing anything wrong. In fact, it's like he even says it himself every now and then. It's like, I really am lazy. I really am not gonna surmount to anything. Wow, I am a bad example for people. It's like, no, dude, don't overthink it. You'll be fine. Oh, okay, then I'll gladly be lazy. It's like, no.
I have to admit, though, his way of life, maybe not take all of it to heart.
Yeah, don't take it to the extreme, for sure.
But some of the other characters who are either too uptight or too energetic for their own good, kind of looks at Tanaka, who is, in many ways, so adamant about his way of life that you cannot help but admire that, or you can't help but
be concerned, right? There is that.
Yeah,
there's that.
But everyone loses interest of being concerned after a while. They're just like, oh, it's just Tanaka being Tanaka. But listen, sometimes just take a step back and be listless.
Do you know what the great thing about this series as well is? It's if you like Tanaka, it's not just Tanaka. His sister is just as lazy and quiet as he is.
Oh. Are you sure about that?
Well, I mean, from what I've seen so far, there's definitely, of course, differences between the two. Like, maybe there's a little bit more of an aspiration to be better for the sister, and that's why Tanaka-kun's like, man, I am a real lazy sack of shit. But at the same time, it's like, there is still, like, relatability. There is still comfort in knowing that, like, even if you were to, like, reach this level of laziness, it's not like you're going to be completely useless. You're not going to be abandoned. You're not giving up on yourself and having others give up on you. That it's possible that there are others that if you surround yourself with the right people, that you can live a comfy existence. Just again, don't take the lazy part to heart. Don't be lazy. Just watch other people be lazy.
Well, I'm really sorry to burst your bubble, but the younger sister of Tanaka is actually extremely hardworking. She's just very kudere. And they show a scene where Tanaka lays around at home, and she does Tanaka's younger sister, she's a brocon. So she does all of the housework, does all of the cooking, and then kind of being like, big bro's just going to be big bro. I'm so
I remember there was a part where I think she doesn't like Ota or the big guy.
Because he is stealing Tanaka from her.
Yeah, and there's a part where it's like, wow, my brother didn't used to do these things, but ever since he started hanging out with this guy, he's not lazy, or
like,
he's
what
less lazy.
The fuck is he doing destroying the status quo?
He only eats a little bit, but now he's finishing his food. This is absolutely terrible. You cannot take my brother away from me.
Yes, that actually does happen.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing I watched.
Oh, Ota also is really good at cooking.
Yeah. And also, Ota's younger sister is the
Hey.
same. Is also involved in this too.
Spoiler.
Well, that's the thing about what I wanted to talk about when it comes to like slice of life too. I feel like spoilers are not super consequential in terms of affecting your enjoyment of a series. Unlike, for example, like if you were to spoil something that happens in like a mystery suspense or like an action, like a shonen in action. Not to say that like
the killers among us will.
yeah, not to say that like okay, go ahead and spoil such life all you want. No, but what I'm saying is that like if someone was to tell me what a certain character does or what the next arc is going to be about in a slice of life, I probably won't be as annoyed. You know what I mean? Like if it's like if you find out that there's going to be a festival arc or there's going to be an episode where these two characters are holding hands or whatnot, I wouldn't feel as like betrayed.
Yeah, I think you're actually very, very right.
I still hold on to the fact where like do not spoil shit, but
it is way less harder
Yeah.
to spoil, especially slice of life oriented shows, because you can describe it, but it is more about when you experience it, the atmosphere and how the character gets depicted, the vibe. It is, even if you know what's going to happen, it almost doesn't matter because that's not the point of the plot beat. It's the characters, really. So you can't really spoil a character even if I tell you their characteristics or personality traits.
yeah, like if you told me, oh, like you'll find out what happens when you watch the grocery store arc. A lot of times, if it's like, oh, like when you say a specific arc in any shonen series, spoiler as fuck. Like, why would you tell me that? That's absolutely terrible. Now I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. But then it's like, oh, they go to the supermarket. Oh, I can't wait to see what they do there. You know, that kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, I think that is, that's extremely accurate and fair game of slice of lives in terms of how non-spoilery it can be, even if you were to say exactly what happens.
Because seeing the characters play it out is way more important than like having it held back and like you're suspending that belief, right? Like
yeah, and especially how it makes you feel, I think, is the other thing
the
that
the vibe, the feel is
exactly
the most important
because I could tell you, yo, this is wholesome as fuck, but then until you experience that heartwarming sensation of wholesomeness or comfiness or fluffiness, will you really appreciate it more so than me describing it to you?
Yeah. So I think that I definitely did a disservice to Tanaka-kun because when I saw it on the docket, I was like, oh yeah, I've watched a little bit of this. I know what's up. Turns out I was thinking about the wrong anime.
Hey, it's all good, Will.
Yeah. Do you remember which one it was? The one with just like it's like two school kids next to each other. There's a guy that doesn't concentrate in class at all whatsoever. And there's like one specific episode where he like builds something out of pencils on his desk. Oh, erasers.
I do know, but how about let's talk about Fate Stay Night spinoff while I go find that anime for you.
Like, oh, Fate Stay Night spinoff. Oh, none of those are slice of life, right? You got like Fate Apocrypha. You got like Fate Go Grand Order, which is now like they've got an anime series. Are you talking about Fate Zero, like the spiritual / like successor, like prequel sequel?
No, Garden of Words, right?
Yeah, way back. No, we're not talking about any of those because lo and behold, Ufotable doesn't just do demon slaying. They don't just do great grand master battles. They don't just do, real fucking amazing Sakuga shit. They also do some pretty wholesome gourmet slice of life. I think that it was today's menu for the Emiya family, right? That's what it's. Today's menu for the Emiya family is a spin-off manga that was written by Type Moon and published by Kadokawa Shoten in 2016. Ended up becoming an anime done by Ufotable. So if you want to read it, it's published in English by Dempa, and there's also So essentially, it's just a massive spin-off from from the Fate Stay series, because it has all the characters that you've seen from Fate Stay Night, as well as some from Fate Zero.
Sorry to go off topic real quick, but to answer your question, Will, it is called My Neighbor Seki. That is the anime that you're talking about.
Okay, that's
the desk one where it's a girl who, I think each episode is like an anime short, so it's like 5
to 6 minutes. So it's really short.
But it's essentially this girl looking at his next door desk neighbor at school, and hilarity ensues essentially.
But not a slice of life. It's just a slice of comedy.
Yes, because all he wants to do is kill time, and she just observes him every single time.
Yep. So back onto today's menu for the Emiya family. Follows the same characters from the Fate Stay series.
Wait, is Archer there?
Archer's there.
Is Saber there?
Saber's definitely
Is
there.
Lancer there?
Lancer's there.
Is if I kill people, they die there?
Yeah, if people get killed, they die. Dude is there. Emiya's there.
I think today's menu is, I'm just going to call it today's menu just so I don't have to say the whole title, is one of those spin-offs that does not make sense on paper, in the sense of when you grab a Type Moon property, like Tsukihime.
Like if you just talk about like Tsukihime, you talk about Face Night, you talk about Garden of Sinners.
What was the one that recently got a remake in terms of a video game?
There was Melty Blood.
It's got the Wolverine girl in it. Shit, I forgot.
I think I know.
Shit.
It's
people are gonna ding us for this.
No, it was Tsukihime.
Is it Tsukihime?
Yeah, Tsukihime.
Oh, okay. I would not expect a slice of life cooking show, but all it is all these characters essentially only making food. And I think there's like a volleyball scene that is very well known.
That is the greatest Sakuga moment throughout all of today's menu, because again, you have to remember that a lot of Type Moon shit is fucking gory, violent,
grim as fuck.
It's depressing. Like, there's no smiling at all in any of these series.
Well, unless if it's smiling with blood on your face while you're murdering someone.
Yeah, like when Gilgamesh shows up, right? So that's not a spoiler, by the way. You must have watched it. It's Fate Stay Night. People know about this shit now.
So it's like a secret move that you play in a tournament, a sports tournament with booze and butts, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Keijo, right?
We're gonna talk about that for a different series.
Yeah, okay, I know exactly what you're gonna say.
So today's menu is a very interesting take as a spin-off from the Fate series, simply because it, outside of the characters themselves, it holds no relationship whatsoever with the original series.
Do you want to see Lancer make omelet rice? Sure.
Do you, like, whenever you watched, like, of course, like, depending on how you play the game or how you watch the series, there's always like that big ship moment of Emiya and Saber, because why the fuck not? There were two main characters from the main series.
Yeah, and if you know where Fate Stay Night originally came from and how, let's say, certain original storylines,
depending which path you take, right,
and certain
depending
energy transfer,
how you choose to heal people and all that.
Yeah, but besides that, it is just really funny and disorienting in many ways to see all these crazy hardcore fighters and characters that's supposed to kill each other, destroy each other's lives, just decide to chill together and maybe make some food, but also have certain undertones that are very well known of the character dynamics.
Yeah. So, like, when you're watching Emiya being, like, literally being taken care of by Saber because he's a useless sack of shit, and then you watch today's menu and he, like, makes oden for her, or he makes, like, a souffle or something, and she eats it and she's like, delectable, it's enjoyable. Yeah, same persona. The characters still definitely act the same way they did from the original series,
and their relationships with each other, but it's obviously not that in your face,
a little more comical. Yeah,
it's more comically placed. I think of
because like Archer and Lancer still have an intense rivalry in
Exactly.
today's menu, but it plays out real nicely. Watch this volleyball arc.
The volleyball scene is just so good. I really like today's menu, and the reason why we chose this as sort of the last of our 5 recommendations is because it is such a different take on a IP, an anime series, movies, video games that is all about blood, guts, and violence and dread.
If we talk about Fate overall, right? It has action, it has adventure, it has suspense,
It has romance.
mystery, it has romance, right? It's definitely dark and depressing. None of those exist in today's menu except for the action part for that one particular volleyball scene. It's comedy, it's slice of life. There is no romantic beats because it's just straight up wholesome. It's just caring for one another. That's the level of affection that we're talking about. Not romantic, but it's friendship. That's why it's a very comfy show to watch. Now, would it be a very straightforward recommendation? On one hand, no. Because of the fact that it does help a lot if you know the backstory to Fate and understanding how certain characters interact with each other.
I would not only agree with you, but I would even go so far as to say if you do not know anything about the Fate series, this show won't add anything for you in terms of your appreciation of Fate or appreciation of slice of life in general. But if you do like Fate, which chances are you do or at least you've heard of it or you know a bit about it, this is the best kind of add-on / bonus level content type thing of the Type Moon properties that is so polar opposite from the general vibe. I mean, wait, what was that Phantasm one? The one that they
Carnival Phantasm.
So that one is like played for gags and laughs, right?
Yeah, because that one is a mesh of characters from the Fate series, Tsukihime, Melty Blood, and one other property.
But I would say that one, the lore that you need to know beforehand is even more important. Whereas here, it's like if you know just a little bit or you watched one of the 3 main Fate routes already, which you probably have, then you're good to go with all of the background characters. You probably know enough of the dynamics between all the characters to know who likes who doesn't like who has problems and whatsoever. And you take it in a different spin with mixing it with food, and it's just a very nice time. And just adds that extra flavor, that extra oomph in your appreciation of the Fate Stay Night series.
Yeah, it's not like absolutely compulsory that you watch Fate because that's a massive undertaking. There's just so much you need to watch. But if you do know a little bit about it, you'll definitely enjoy today's menu. And if you don't know much about Fate, I think you just still find some enjoyment out of it. I think you could still watch it as a standalone and not be like so lost. You might not understand like certain inside jokes between characters, but it shouldn't massively detract from your appreciation of the series. Of the spin-off, I mean.
I also feel like today's menu is a pretty decent anime, and it, other than talking about the Fate Stay Night series, and even then, it's really hard to talk about this spin-off in any capacity such that we were like, hey, we should probably put this in here because I don't know where else will we ever mention today's menu ever. So it's still good. I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well.
So
I think that's it. The 5 main recommendations for a slice of life series that we wanted to discuss because there's a lot of things like we already talked about.
So many, dude.
We've already talked about like all the KyoAni shit. We've talked about Eurocamp. We talked about Slow Loop. There are other ones as well, like Shirobako, Flying Witch, Teasing Master Takagi-san. That one, would you say it's more romantic than Slice of Life? Or is it even... Like,
I would say it's more romance-based, but the pace is very Slice of Life.
Yeah.
I know it's like tomato in many ways, but it is how I feel about it. There is a lot of other shows, as you might have guessed, based off of how I feel about the whole slice of life genre that I haven't even gotten to.
Well, I
but
mean,
we don't have 12 hours.
Yeah. Well, if we did have 12 hours, I don't think we'd be able to cover all of Natsume's Book of Friends. That one's long,
Dude, I've kept up with that shit. I even watched like several movies
What is
in
it, like
theaters.
7 or 8 seasons?
I think it was like
How many books of Friends do they have now?
It's only one book, bro.
One book, but it's like it seems like there's always like a new book. At least that's how it's canonized in terms of the numbering on my anime list. There's a lot of seasons for Natsume's Book of Friends.
Well,
and then there's also Mushishi as well, which is like very very healing type, but not really a Iyashike type of slice of life. It's a mystery slice of life.
yeah, I am almost 100% sure we are going to revisit Slice of Life, the genre, as well as our recommendations. And we'll have to figure out some way of not just talking about recommendations, or maybe that's all we do, because there's so many to choose from, so many that are worth your time, and so many with small differences that depending on what you're into, there's something for everyone within the realm of slice of life.
And I think doing a list like that would actually be quite beneficial, because if we were to just break down like isekais or action shonens, it's like, well, no shit. It's like, if you like demons, then you like demons. If you like ninjas, you like ninjas. But it's like, it doesn't really matter if any of those things you like matter.
Quote of the day
by
Will. Hey, if you like demons, you got demons. If you like ninjas, you got ninjas.
Yeah,
it's just
that's it. But it's like, in the end, like, the action speaks for itself. Whereas with slice of life, there has to be a bit more like push and pull with each series, because the differences between all these series is minute. It's very easy for you to like mix up one slice of life with another slice of life. But if you're into the genre, if you're into this world of slice of life, a lot of this could hold a lot of meaning to you, no matter like how slight the differences are.
And I think that is the end of our episode for this iteration of the Good Anime Palette podcast.
It's weird. 2 years ago, I was like, nah, dude, just give me all of this Dora hetero, give me all this fucking like Villain Saga shit. Now it's, Devilman Crybaby. Give me all the bloody, gory, gutsy shit. Now it's just like, oh, look at that girl going off to buy candy at the store. And then she's buying candy for her friends, and they're all sharing candy. It's great. Candy is sweet. Why am I watching this? I don't know, but it's comfortable.
So, Will, while I give you some time to think about your most ideal self-produced anime slice of life, I am going to say to all you dear listeners that you can always reach us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word. We have a handle on Twitter @PaletteGood, capital P and capital G, all one word. And we also have a GAP Discord server using the invite link that will be provided in the show description. One of our listeners, Will, sent you a happy birthday message on there. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, thank you. I did not see that, no.
Yeah. We also have a website, and we encourage you to check it out. We can visit our website at www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. Music credits for this episode. Our intro music is Inure by Heyson. Our break music is Bottai by Ooyy. And our outro music is I Don't Mind, the instrumental version by Particle House. You can support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or other various music listening platforms. And our royalty-free music was provided by Epidemic Sound. If you're interested, you can sign up using our referral link in the show description. Terms and conditions apply. All right, well, do you have a premise, slice of life?
Mine's very simple. So on Netflix, there are a lot of these live action shows that essentially just feature like a salaryman going around and eating food. And there's like many variations of it. There's a guy, I think it's called the Red List of Restaurants, which is he travels around Japan to go to restaurants that are on the red list, as in like they're like on the border of bankruptcy, or they're like being phased out because they're so far in rural countries, rural countrysides that like nobody visits them, and he goes and like eats food at them because he knows they're good. They're just very like lesser known, and it has had a positive effect because the show then ends up showing the restaurants how they do after the show releases. There's another one which is specifically a guy who eats bentos on bullet trains. There's one called the Sweet Tooth salaryman who goes around eats desserts in Japan.
If you were to change the salaryman to salarywoman, and you were to change a full-length anime episode of 20-something minutes to maybe a 5-minute episode, you get Wakakozake, I think, which is about an office lady after work going to eat food.
Yeah.
Things like monkfish liver, things like watercress, like fried watercress and stuff.
Monkfish liver is fucking delicious. I fucking love it. There's again other variations. There's one which is another guy who is he works for a sports drink company and basically has to seal deals, but in order to do that, he has to find levels of inspiration and innovation. So he eats spicy food. It's called The Way of Spicy. There's also another one.
The Way of Spice or The Way of Spicy?
Way of Spicy. I know. There's another one that I can't remember what it's called, but it's a very long-running manga series that had a live action, just about a guy traveling around Japan, eating food after work. I think that's kind of what I would like to see. That's very, very general, but for me, it's the slice of life gourmet is that area that like I very much vibe with, because one of my personal dreams would be to just take a whole month or maybe 2 months off, go to Japan, start from the base of Kagoshima, and travel all the way up north and just eating all the different variations of ramen between each prefecture.
Well, stay tuned for Will's travelogue in his ramen tour.
What's your ideal slice of life then? Would it be an ensemble cast? Would it be a solo?
Okay, I got it. Ready? It is about 3 sisters who are operating a bakery.
Triplets, or is there a hierarchy?
There's a hierarchy. But then across the street is
3 brothers are operating a competing bakery.
No. A Japanese confectionery.
So this is like Tamako Market. I think that would be like the setting, right? It'd be like in a Japanese kind of like those markets are usually next to a big train station in like the rural like suburban areas of Japan.
Shit, now my idea doesn't sound that great anymore.
No, I would watch that. I like Tamako Market. I want to see more of that kind of stuff.
And then you get the Patrons, who is 3 siblings, who is 2 sisters and a brother that goes in between the 2 stores. And they operate an onsen.
This is Tamako Market. They have an onsen in that market too.
Holy fuck! Am I just repeating Tamako Market?
I mean, that's just how good it is. That's the thing. I mean, what I was saying as well has already existed, but like you're trying to say is that like more of that would be nice. More of like a Tamako Market kind of slice of life would be good to watch, because sometimes like I personally like to people watch, not in a creepy way, but definitely like.
I am sure Will has no
there's no
ill
sinister,
intent to slice people up, to end people's lives. Rather, we hope that you enjoy this very nice slice of the Good Anime Palette podcast and go on with your life until we have another episode released for your very beautiful, glistening ears. I have no idea why I went with those descriptors.
Oral.
That's just
it's all oral.
You mean? Oh, for fuck's sake, Will.